All right, good morning, everyone. Today is May 16th, 2018, and this is a regular meeting of the members of the State Liquor Authority. Present today are Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Ford, General Counsel Riano, Deputy Commissioner of Licensing Held, and myself, Secretary Donahue. The next meetings of the authority will be May 30th, June 13th, and June 27th. Those are all Wednesdays. We're going to call items first in Buffalo, then Albany, and then New York City in the order they are called in, with one exception. As your item is called, please approach the podium, speak into the microphone because we're recording this and everybody in the room has to hear what you're saying. If you have a cell phone, please put it on silence and take your calls outside. Chairman, do you have any other matters before we get going?
No.
All right. The first item is here in New York City. It's item 1003B, Social Gathering Palace Corp. It is a request from Counsel's Office for an emergency order of summary suspension.
Ms. Sardar.
Good morning, full board. Miriam Sardar on behalf of Counsel's Office presenting a matter for summary suspension pursuant to Section 401, subsection 3 of SAPA involving the licensee Social Gathering Palace Corp. This recommendation comes in light of two extremely disorderly and violent incidents that occurred at the premises requiring multiple NYPD units to intervene. On April 28th, officers responded to a call of multiple traffic violations at the establishment. However, when they arrived, they were approached by security at the location who essentially begged them to come inside and help them intervene in violent fights that had erupted inside the location. Security was having trouble controlling the disorderly crowd that was inside. Patrons were fighting everywhere, including in the bathrooms, the stage, the dance floor. Security ultimately lost control of the crowd and couldn't handle it themselves. Eventually, NYPD officers had to call for backup for additional units, and not only did they have to call emergency services, but they also had to call in aviation units to help control the disorderly crowd. The night before, on April 27th, the licensee had actually advertised an event hosted by a promoter, open to the public, which was a violation of the catering license that this licensee holds. On May 2nd, after that event, the SLA conducted an inspection with the NYPD, and the SLA learned that the principal licensee, Maimouna Baldet, who was listed on the application, was out of the country. A woman named Batuli Baldet identified herself as the manager, although no manager is listed on this license application.
Relation, obviously?
I believe that, yes, the manager claimed to be the niece of the principal licensee. An investigator eventually spoke to the principal licensee on the phone, and both the principal licensee and the niece manager were completely unaware that the April 27th incident had taken place requiring NYPD intervention. So at this time, it is very unclear as to who, if anybody, was supervising the premise on that night. Both the principal licensee and the manager were unaware of the event, so really the question remains as to who was at the location that night supervising the premises when those fights broke out. Just 5 days after that inspection, another violent altercation erupted at the premises, requiring, again, multiple NYPD units to control the disorderly crowd. Additional units from neighboring precincts even had to be deployed for assistance. Again, security guards approached officers because they couldn't control the disorderly crowds themselves. And when officers arrived, they observed approximately 30 patrons engaged in a fight. Some of the patrons had spilled out onto the street in front of the location.
Is this also a promoted event?
Yes, it was a promoted event. Aside from the violence, these are multiple violations of the ABC law that are occurring. This licensee holds a catering license and is not allowed to hold events that are open to the public, but regularly advertises events that are open to the public, events that are hosted by promoters with tickets for sale to any member of the general public. As you can see in Exhibit 5, that's just one flyer of several types of events that this licensee holds. There are also numerous 911 and 311 calls made at this location. In addition to the instant case and the charges here, there are also two pending cases open against this licensee, including focal point operation charges, disorderly premise charges, failure to supervise, and they also have a sale to minor in their history.
I see 400 911 and 311 calls made since the license was issued in 2009, including 138 in the last year alone.
Yes.
This is the first this is kind of coming to us, or?
Yes, unfortunately, so far all we have in their pending history is the one sale to minor charge, but we've recently began to receive numerous incidents that occurred at the NYP that occurred at this location, referrals from the NYPD.
When did those events occur?
I believe that some of these events are dating back to late 2017. We just received referrals for them recently.
Okay.
All right. Need to hear you more,
No.
Chairman? I'm going to vote to summarily suspend the license. It's clear that the licensee is either blatantly lying that she doesn't know anything about what's going on there, or blatantly ignorant, one or the other, clearly not having any responsibility for what's going on there. So it's become a drain on the police resources, and not to mention it's a menace to the community, so I vote to suspend.
I'm going to vote to suspend as well. As Commissioner Ford pointed out, there were 400 911 and 311 calls since 2009, and in the last year, there's been 100 of those calls, which is just remarkable that the first time we're hearing about this is recently from the NYPD. Can you actually reach out to the NYPD and find out why
Yes.
we did not get referrals prior to now?
Absolutely. Counsel's office is following up on that.
And I'm going to vote to summarily suspend as well. It's obvious that this is a focal point and is based on the violence that's occurred, as well as there was a March operation on May 2nd that found additional violations as well?
Yes, on May 2nd, there was a failure to conform violation that was found because somebody identified themselves as a manager, although the principal licensee is supposed to be managing the establishment full-time herself. She was actually out of the country, so she wasn't there.
So I'm going to vote to summarily suspend. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move to Albany. Donald, just keep Buffalo open in case somebody shows up there. All right. First item in Albany is 949, MTF Inc.
This is Mr. Fuller. Good morning, Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Ford, members of the board. Sean May appearing this morning for the applicant, MTF Incorporated. This was a
good with
denial
this?
of a corporate change.
Are you good with this? Keep going.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you
The
good with it?
denial of a corporate change for failure to dispute.
All right, so I think we have a pretty good understanding of this. It sounds like
Yeah.
you don't, it's closely held corporation, you actually don't have stock certificates?
You already created them, but yes.
Okay. And there is no corporate book or minutes or anything like that. I would suggest you start keeping those as well. But based on your filing, I'm going to send it back to licensing and grant the reconsideration.
Thank you, Chairman.
Same here.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Take care.
You're welcome. Have a good
The
day.
next item in Albany, 948, Dell Associates Inc.
Good morning. I'm here on behalf of my wife Debbie. We're asking for a reconsideration of the amount of the fine. It's a minor. It was a sting. During Christmas, we had a new employee. She asked the customer for ID. He said he didn't have any. The line flustered her, and she mistakenly sold to the minor. We've had a lot of difficulty with the store since Debbie's parents have passed away and her daughters are no longer working at the store. We're depending on pretty unreliable help. We're looking for we can put new software in that requires you to scan the license at a cost of $3,000. The employee has gone to court and done extra training as directed by the court. We're asking respectfully and humbly a reduction to $4,000.
So you want us to pay for the scanner?
No, sir.
That you should have had the first time?
Oh,
This isn't your first sale to minor,
It's the second in 21 years.
but also the second in 3 years.
No, sir, I think the other was almost 5 years ago. Again, by a new
You're right,
employee.
I'm sorry, 12 of 2013, so 4.5 years.
4 years in between the.
Thanks, Tom.
We're a small outfit, sir. We're
I get it, I get it, I get it. I'll lower it to 5,000, I'm not gonna go down to 4,000.
Yeah, 5,000 is exactly what I was thinking as well, so.
So I'll grant reconsideration 5,000 instead of 6,500.
Thank you very much,
I'll
sir.
split the scanner with you, now I own half a scanner.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item in Albany, 961, 165 Remsen Street, LLC.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Donald Russell.
Robert Barbieri.
Mr. Russell, you're a councilman?
I am.
So that the city government's support of this license is somewhat dubious at best,
Okay.
I think. I mean,
I've been the general manager of Spindle's Wine Bar, a block down the street from Donnie Magoo's, since its inception 3.5 years ago.
well, really the only problem with this, and I think at least my only problem with it, is that you previously owned a business with a liquor license that we revoked, and you never told us on the application. You just left it out. In fact, you didn't leave it out. You actually misrepresented what happened.
What they were asking for, I was unsure what they were asking for, so I came right here to the Swan Street office and met with an individual here at the State Liquor Authority to get clarification, and upon clarification, that's when I included it. I thought they were looking for information from Spindle's Wine Bar, which is owned by my father. His name is also Donald Russell. But upon clarification, the information was sent in several days.
Is that your understanding?
And in regards to my previous
I don't have any
license-
record of it, but
In regards to my previous license, I operated until the last day that it was actually active. Because of the neighborhood changing, we chose not to reapply to extend our license out after the 12 years that we were in operation. We chose to sell the building and move out of the town because of the drastic change in the neighborhood. which-
Wait, there's something inconsistent here then. You owned Irish Mist, correct?
Correct. Yes, I did.
And you had a bunch of charges back in 2011 and 2012, correct?
Correct.
And you offered to cancel the license and take a $1,000 bond claim, which was then which was denied by the chairman at the time, Rosen, and he asked for revocation. You aware of all that?
I was not aware of that.
Well, you know you offered cancellation, right?
Yes.
Well, so then you're,
My attorney offered cancellation because we were not gonna, he knew that I was putting the building up for sale to move out of the neighborhood.
so then the answer where you said that you closed voluntarily is actually not true. You didn't close voluntarily, they canceled the license. It may have been that you planned on closing anyway, but you weren't going to be able to be open no matter what you wanted to do.
Chairman,
I wasn't aware
the offer
that they
came in
were-
right a couple days after they expired. So we settled the case after. However, in order to accept a counteroffer to be revoked, you had to accept the counteroffer.
Right.
We wouldn't have imposed it.
I was not aware of that, and I had reached out to my attorney at the time, and unfortunately, he never got back to me for clarification.
Okay. Well, what are you doing here differently than you did at the other place? Because the other place, based on what I'm seeing here, was not a good place.
My other place, obviously, things drastically changed over the 12 years. My building wound up being in the middle of a drug zone. I had drug dealers literally one block in both directions. 6 months prior to me closing Irish Mist, there was a fight between drug dealers out in the middle of the street at 2:30 in the afternoon. Somebody wound up dead in the middle of the street. And that ultimately is what made me decide to get out of the neighborhood, because I couldn't control the neighborhood, obviously, and that wasn't what I had signed up for. That's not what I was looking for. Our new business, our current business, is a 1,000 square foot building versus a 10,000 square foot property. We are geared primarily towards the sale of food, so it's definitely more a restaurant than it would be a bar. Spindles, which I am the general manager of, that my father owns, is again the same concept. It's 1,000 square foot space. It seats 42 people. We've never had an incident there.
You are going to work at both places?
My father is going to take over at Spindles Wine Bar, and I am full-time at Donnie Magoo's.
And how close is Spindle's Wine Bar to this place?
170 feet,
Oh.
175 feet approximately.
What are your hours you plan for?
We open at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Our kitchen closes at 10, and then the latest that we've had at Donnie Magoo's has been about 1:15 in the morning. There are tenants upstairs, so we own the building. We're extremely conscious of our tenants.
You're going to have food available the whole time you're open?
Correct. Yes, we have small food available the whole time. The full menu is available until 10 o'clock.
And what's the music? Is there any?
It's just piped in Sirius XM.
Does the kitchen have to stay open till 1?
Well, if he said he's serving food, I'm assuming. The kitchen then is open till while you're open, at least to some extent.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And where we're located now, it's become restaurant, almost like Restaurant Row. Spindles opened almost 4 years ago. Smith's Restaurant, which is 2 doors from us, is a long-standing full-service restaurant that's been in business about 85 years. Cascade Kitchen opened a block across the street. There's a gastropub. There's another new restaurant and catering facility opening up 2 blocks down the street this month.
Mr. Barberi, what are you going to do? Are you still going to run the funeral home, or?
Yes, I have, in my funeral business, I have, took me years, but I got perfect staff, excellent staff. I come every evening around 4 or 5 o'clock when I'm available, kind of like maitre d', seat people, greet people. I even bus tables. I do whatever I need to do.
Okay.
Excuse me, your previous history is not stellar here, but this is a smaller place, smaller venue. You're going to close by 1, you said?
Correct.
Okay.
That's when we're doing the last call, and patrons have been out of the restaurant between 1 and 1:30 typically.
Okay. I'll vote to approve this mainly because you have a letter of support here from the mayor,
Thank you.
his town. So,
It's his town, too.
true. So I'll vote to approve.
I'll vote to approve as well.
Do you want to close at 1:30?
No, I'm gonna
Hard
let
close,
it-
you don't care?
No.
Yeah,
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Are there any other items in Albany, is that correct?
No, sir.
Okay, so we're done in Albany and in Buffalo. We're going to move to New York now. The first item, 984, Liquor Tour, Inc., DBA Moore Brothers Wine.
Is there any opposition here? No?
We have a map for you if you'd like me to display it somehow.
Sure.
Or I can hand it over.
Donald, can you hang her map for her? Oh, that was, you guys seeing this? We get our own.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Kwan with the law firm of Dana McMullen and Panoff, here to present Le Courtier, doing business as Moore Brothers Wine Company. Chairman Bradley, as you may remember, we were before you in June of 2016 for the relocation of this store from Gramercy to Industry City, Brooklyn. At the time, we proposed that there would be no overlapping inventory with any of the nearest stores.
You also proposed that it was important because it was such a high-end wine store that it was not going to affect the other stores, and now you want to be a full liquor store, which
Correct.
is ironic.
Well, we saw the opposition claiming this is a loophole. It absolutely was not. At the time this client came to me, I said, "You're moving. This is an opportunity to be a full liquor store if you'd like." And he said he was not interested. That is not the business he was in, and he had 10-year wine license history in Gramercy. Since then, Industry City, the landlord, approached the licensee to consider carrying some liquor due to the fact that there are distillers within Industry City itself. There are currently 3. There's Industry City Vodka, there's a sake manufacturer, as well as a liqueur, a ginger liqueur manufacturer. There will be more, most likely. There are leases out for additional vendors. And as you may remember, Industry City is a city unto itself, which is why I stress the map. Unless you've been out there, it's very hard to understand how isolated Industry City is. It's bookended by the river and 3rd Avenue, which essentially has the BQE running above it. I used to live very close to this area. I'm familiar with Industry City. It is isolated. It also happens to house 450 tenants, over 7,000 employees that travel in from all boroughs. And essentially, the concourse level focus is on, artisan, fine, craft foods. And Moore Brothers is a perfect fit in terms of its selection and careful, customer service. So the proposal to have a liquor license is so that they can carry a limited selection of spirits. Continuing in the devotion to small producers, there'll be fortified wines like cognac, armagnac, sherry, port, and limited spirits. And this is an opportunity for Moore Brothers to also carry New York State labeled products manufactured within the same complex.
How many New York State products does he carry now?
The wines are all from
So
foreign
we're not
wines.
just saying that to get a liquor license.
No.
No, we currently are not.
As you may have seen, there are several letters of support from local residents and also tenants of Industry City. And each of the manufacturers has sent in a letter of support, as well as the landlord, describing sort of how we came to this date here.
Okay.
Does Industry City have a residential tenants as well as businesses, or is it all business?
It's all businesses. The nearest residents are those of Sunset Park, which we've also included in an article citing the growth in Sunset Park and how it's become pretty much the hottest neighborhood in Brooklyn at the moment. In no small part because of Industry City, I'm certain.
Yep. If you don't have more questions, I'm good.
No, I don't.
I'm willing to grant the approval. I mean, it's a pretty significant, what's the word I'm looking for? As I get older, I can't think of the word I want to use all the time. Lots of businesses there. I think it is a city within a city, as you described it, so I don't have a problem with this class change. I do think it meets a public convenience and advantage standard.
I'll vote to approve as well. The 5 surrounding stores, there's 5 stores within 0.8 miles. The closest store is 3 miles away, but as you pointed out, the applicant is inside an industrial commercial center, so I don't anticipate that he would even affect the nearby stores, because I believe most of his customers are people that are working there.
Correct. Not to mention that there will be no overlapping inventory for the spirits, but for Industry City Vodka, one product.
Okay. And the sales of the other surrounding stores are, while not robust, have either been steady or increasing. So I'll vote to approve.
And let's get some New York State wines in here, okay? Thank you.
The
You
next
want your
item.
map?
Oh, sure.
Next item is 950. It's a proposed advisory regarding the wholesaler summer shutdown for 2018.
Barbara Kwan, once again, partner with the law firm of Dano, McMullen, and Panoff, here to represent Empire Merchants and Empire Merchants North in support of the summer shutdown advisory.
Good morning. I'm Adam Hassan from Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits of New York and Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits of Upstate New York, and we are also here in support of the summer shutdown advisory.
Chairman and Commissioner, as you may know, This request has been granted every year. The retailers need this relief so that they can be fully stocked with goods during the summer shutdown period.
Yeah, this is traditionally done every year, I think around the same time. Is it the same week every year?
I don't think it's the same. Is it always the same week?
It's
usually
summer
very
shutdown
close,
period
Chairman.
is generally the same period, yes.
It's usually the last 2 full weeks of July.
And it serves a very good purpose for the retailers to make sure that they are fully stocked during the period, so I'll vote to approve.
I'll vote to approve as well.
Thank you very much.
Do we get 2 weeks off too, by chance? Does it work that way? Probably not.
The lawyers
Thought I
will
did.
get 2 weeks off.
Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, I'm guessing somebody's at Southern every day.
Thank you.
Next item is 960, Razzo Inc.
Chairman, Commissioner, my name is Henry Warakomsky for Razzo Inc. It's an application for a new liquor license for a tavern.
So one of the problems you had was that they didn't have a public assembly permit from the town. They now have that?
Why, he's filed it, he just got to get it electrical inspection, and then they'll have it. So, I mean, we can always, make the, if the approved, subject to the, submitting the public assembly license.
The problem is it's a 500-foot case and the town opposed it based on the fact that you don't have the public assembly.
But he filed the application for the town, right? When did it-
Yeah, you have a letter here from May 3rd from the town saying that the public assembly permit with the office, it's been cleared, that matter, and the town has no objection,
Right, yeah.
so.
So he's just waiting for the firewriter's inspection.
And you managed this place previously?
I was here previously, yeah.
What'd you do?
I was a head bartender.
At just the last location or the one prior to that?
The one prior, well, the same location.
At Conforti's?
Right.
You bartend there?
What are the hours?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 6 o'clock till 2 o'clock. Weekends a little later, during the week until like 1, 2 o'clock.
So Sunday through Thursday, 1 o'clock, and then Friday, Saturday, 2 o'clock? Is that what you're saying?
On the weekend, it's a little later, 3 o'clock on the weekend.
Okay. And with the security guard's going to be on every night?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll vote to approve with those hours, 2 a.m. during the week, 3 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. No live music, no DJs, no dancing.
And one security guard?
Yep. No promoters. And that's it.
Yep. And the one security guard, I'll approve on those terms as
And the
well.
town did, as Commissioner Ford pointed out, the town did remove its protest, but it is conditioned on getting a public assembly
Yeah,
permit.
it should come within a week or so. So it's-
Well,
it's,
that's not my problem now, it's yours.
Next item, 934, Jaginder Singh.
Do we have any opposition? I figured. Come on up. Put your name on the record? No, you got to put your name on the record.
Patrick DeLuca, and this is my applicant, Mr. Singh.
Okay.
Joginder Singh, good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Come on up to the microphone, please. Go ahead.
Good morning, sir. My name is Harbhajan Baidwan. I am from AJ7 Wine and Liquor from Levittown.
What's the name of your store?
AJ7.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
AJ7.
Yep.
And this new coming store is like around 1 mile, 1.2 mile from my store.
Mm-hmm.
And we already suffering. If I show you the something.
You're suffering?
Yes, sir.
Your sales are up
Yes, sir.
500,000 in 3 years.
Yes, sir.
That's
So
suffering?
we accepting all the coupons, is cost to cost, the sales going up, the profit is no.
So you're telling me you're not making any profit on an additional 500,000 sales?
Sorry, I can show you.
Check that, that may have been an issue date in 2013, that might not have been a full year.
Yeah, but even if you take it from 14, he's almost up 500,000. Right? He went from 1.5 to 1.93.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at the first one. Sorry about that.
All right, you can show me.
Right.
We accept all the coupons.
Yeah.
Every day, everything.
Okay.
We don't want to refuse our customers.
Right.
We want to keep, because this is our family
You
business.
got to talk in the microphone.
Because,
So what you're saying is you're accepting Total Wine's coupons at your store?
yes, sir. Any coupons, we don't want to lose the customers.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So,
So that 500,000 increase is just cost, is what you're
just the
telling me?
cost, yes, sir. Just the cost.
All right, anything else?
Just depend on you, sir.
Next. Thank you.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Bhumika Patel. I'm from Patel's Wines and Liquor. And this store is just opening only just 3 minutes away from my stores. I'm very small stores and I cannot afford to open any big stores. It's already new open like a stool liners and it's hurting so much my business. And if you guys not believe, you can come to my stores anytime. Stay like a 1 week. You guys see like my business is going so much down. And I got these stores 5 years ago, and if I want to sell today, nobody's paying me the same amount what I paid like 5 years ago because my business is not as used to be when we got the stores. And right now, my business, I'm in COD like last 2 months. I never been in COD like that long, ever. You can check with the company.
You've never been in what?
I mean, with the, I have to pay the.
Oh, COD, okay.
Yeah, because of I cannot make anything, no profit, nothing. I work like 6 or 7 days. I cannot afford anybody to stay there because I cannot afford pay my bills.
Okay, I got it. Is everyone going to say to me that this is going to hurt their business? Because I don't need to hear it from everybody. So just come up and put your name on the record. That's not really something that we judge. We're supposed to be here as a public convenience and advantage to another one. I understand another business is going to hurt your business. I got it.
Not like so many people. Please,
Well,
I'm begging you.
we understand. Okay.
My name is Yan Lingdiu.
And what's your store?
Diamond Wine and Liquor.
Do you see it?
How far away are you from this location?
2 miles.
Okay, so you're not one of the closest. Okay. And your store is going to be hurt, your sales are going to go down. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, 30% since state landlord open.
Okay, thank you. Next.
What was your store again? I'm sorry.
She's the first one. Those are the ones.
We got it. Next.
All right, thank you.
Next, please.
My store is 2 miles about from this store.
What's the name of your store?
Mahankali Wine and Spirits.
What's your name, sir?
Sharma, sir. Jagjivan Sharma.
And do you have anything to add other than that your business is going to be hurt by this?
It's gonna hurt, any store is open, is gonna hurting around this.
We are aware of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Sasi Tolia from New Cheers and
What's the name of your store?
New Cheers,
How far are you away?
about 2 miles.
Okay.
Business is hurting so much with Total Wines and our revenue is going down and profit is going down and this is going to hurt.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you. Please, next.
Morning, everybody. My name is Praveen Patel. I'm representing from Wine Market Liquor Place. I'm here on behalf of my son, who could not attend this hearing because he is managing the stores. Our store is located at about approx 1.5 miles from this new.
5 miles?
1.5.
Oh, and what's the name of your store?
Wine and Liquor Marketplace.
How is that not on here?
Yeah, I don't know.
Levittown.
In Levittown?
Okay.
Because of this new Total Wine All Stores, it affects our business. We are losing the customer.
Okay.
I strongly protest against the approval of any new license in the surrounding neighborhood, as it already saturated with several small and big liquor stores. With heavy competition, I hope you will consider my request to reject these new license applications.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next. No one?
Okay.
All right, Mr. How do I forget your name? Mr. DeLuca, go ahead.
Mr.
So let me ask you this, what is he adding to this area that is not already there?
Good morning, everybody. When I was looking to put a store, I did my survey, and as of the census 2010, Levittown was designated as the CDP, Census Designated Place, with the population of 52,000. 32% of the people are above the age of 25 and between 44, which are making median income of 150,000. And I was looking for a small boutique store, which is run by the owner himself, a small boutique store with a square footage of the 800 square feet only. And I looking to do it, give them a personalized customer service where we can be interacted, where I went to the other stores, which I did not find. This particular location is very much away from the saturated part of the Levittown area.
But you're aware that in a 2-mile radius of your location, there's 14 liquor stores?
Yes, but
You're telling me none of those liquor stores are providing what you want to provide?
I went to this young lady's store.
I'm not asking you that. You can't, there's 14.
Right.
So every one of those 14 is not providing what you plan on providing?
I did went to the first 4 ones, and most of them did not. I can show you the pictures. They have dust on there. I brought with me. I went to this young lady's store, and she is on her FaceTime. She did not have the courtesy to stop that FaceTime and talk to me and offer organic wines.
But you're pointing out one of 14.
Right.
There's 14 within a 3-minute drive.
Right. But I also want to add is that we want to offer some classes for the customers, educational classes, and I wanted to add more customer service, and we wanted to do some wine tasting. We wanted to make a website of our own a store, and where we can add the links to how to educate people, how to drink responsibly, and all the stuff that's in the convenience of the community.
Do you have any experience in the liquor business?
Not in the liquor, but in the beer business, yes. I had 14 years
Well,
of...
you can't sell beer.
Yes, I know. But I have been trained by a couple of my friends in the area, and I'm willing to learn more as I grow.
Going to Connecticut to work in his friend's store to learn the wines and liquors, but not compensated for weekends since we had this application. The Levittown area primary, a lot of these stores that are of the 18 are in the Hempstead Turnpike area. Totally different world.
Well, everybody is driving, so how different could it be?
I grew up in this area, and Hempstead Turnpike is an 8-lane road, 3 lanes each way. It's parking lane on either side. You avoid it because it's traffic.
We've denied 4 applications in this area over the last probably 2.5 years.
Yeah, that is...
And I don't see much different about what you're asking to do than what we've denied already.
The 4 denied, if we see the common thing in all those 4 denials is that they were all on Hempstead Turnpike. And I call Hempstead Turnpike like a Queens Boulevard of Nassau County, which is very oversaturated already. That's why...
You just said the key word, though. 14 liquor stores in 2 miles is oversaturated.
Yeah, I don't even know if Manhattan has that.
I will still be about a mile away or only one store is, which is 8.9 mile. Rest of them are all like.
But they all drive. Everybody's driving. We're not walking in Levittown. So I just don't see anything that you've told me that's any different than what I could bring them back up here and tell me they're doing the same thing. It's the same products, the same services that are available in one or more of the 14 liquor stores within 2 miles of you. So I don't see any public convenience and advantage, so I'm going to deny.
I'm going to deny as well. I think there's more than enough liquor stores in Levittown, so, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next item is 955, 357 Van Brunt LLC.
Did you sign it in, or are they here?
Mr. Levy's here someplace. He signed in.
Let me take a look for him outside.
We'll second call it. Go ahead.
Well, the next item is Mr. Levy's too, so.
Then go to the next one.
957, 84 News Inc. and Grocery.
Morning.
Morning.
Basically, we're a grocery store on 84th Street in Roosevelt.
Just note who you are and who is
Okay,
with
my
you.
name's Anthony Bianchi. I'm the representative for 84 News. We're
And who's with you?
the owner.
Okay. So is he aware that the previous license here got canceled?
No, he's not.
How long have you owned the store?
Since November of last year, precise.
And do you know, other than the purchase, do you have any relationship with the former owner?
He was a pharmacist assistant in Connecticut.
So why does he want to do this?
He decided, he had prior experience with grocery stores working there, so now he decided to open one on his own.
So they had a significant problem with sales to minor, to the extent.
Limited period of time, no less.
Right. So from April of 2017, I'm sorry, March of 2017, basically to the end of April of 2017, they had 6 sales to minors on 6 different dates. I know it's not you. I'm just warning you, because it's obvious that this place was attracting underage sales, because otherwise my office and the police department wouldn't show up there. So I don't know, what are you going to do to make sure that doesn't happen?
Back in days, I was a pharmacist, and I know what is happening.
I'm more concerned about scanning and things of that nature. Do you have a scanner? Are you getting one?
Scanner, and up to 40, I'm gonna be carding every customer.
And are you taking ATAP, the course?
Yeah, I got it.
They also did untaxed cigarettes.
He doesn't even have a cigarette license as of yet.
Okay, well, if you get one, I'd stay away from that too, because that is going to be, both of those things would be big problems for you. I'll vote to approve on the condition that he and his employees take an ATAP course and that they get a scanner.
I'll vote to approve as well under those conditions.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, we're going to recall 955, 357 Van Brunt LLC.
Joseph Levy here for the applicant. Apologies for that delay. I was just right outside. There is some opposition here. I assume you'd like to hear from them first.
Thanks.
Morning, Robert Swedick for the opposition. We represent Dry Dock LLC, which is the closest store. Basically, we submitted a letter. There's several areas of concern regarding this application to submit a wine license to a full-service license. When the license was originally granted to this wine shop, it was with the specific condition that it only sell wine, as a matter of fact, Italian wine. Part of the reason was because Dry Dock was only several hundred feet away. What's surprising is that the license to the current applicants to buy this wine shop was granted effective January 30th this year, and 2 weeks later, just 2 weeks later, they submitted an application to convert it from a wine shop to a full liquor store. And that's what we're before you now. In addition, within the past month.
So let me go back, though. So when was this originally licensed?
This was originally
8 years ago, right?
as a wine shop 8 years ago. These people bought it. Their license was issued January 30th.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, and when it was originally licensed, it was licensed with the condition that it just be a wine
Right,
shop.
and when were your clients licensed?
We were about 2 months before that.
Okay.
It was before the 8 years ago.
Yes.
So they were there at the time, and that's why they let the other place open just as a wine shop. In addition, the authority granted very recently, I understand it opened up yesterday, something for 21st Century Spirits Group, which is a large box store which moved into the area. It's not one of the closest stores, but this is Red Hook, and it's not a large area, and obviously all the stores are concerned that because this was a removal, which I know you're more lenient in granting, and it's now in Red Hook, that is going to significantly affect their business. The applicant, the current wine store that now want to be a liquor store, is on the same street as my client. It's about 650 feet away, and you can literally see from one store to the other. That's how close they are. What's also of more concern to us is that when they put in this application, they didn't list my client as one of the closest liquor stores. Comes up on LAMP, you can visually see it, yet they didn't list it, I guess hoping that.
Well, I don't know why that is, but I can guarantee you that Mr. Levy knew we were going to find out about it. So I don't think that that was purposeful. He's been here long enough to realize that we get our own
I'm
information.
surprised Mr. Levy submitted this application. I don't know if he knew all the facts, so.
That weren't listed.
Well, I'm sure it was an oversight, but we do have them here, so.
Okay. In addition, there's Old Brooklyn, which is one of the closest, which is being sold, and that license being transferred to a new owner, and I think that
Which one is that?
Old Brooklyn Wine and Liquors.
What's the address?
20 Union Street.
It's not here.
We don't have that as one of our 5 closest. It must be right over just being further. Okay, go ahead.
It's on LAMP as 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I see it here, okay.
Okay. So that's going to have a new ownership, and obviously, in keeping with your policy, you usually tend to give a new owner some time to get back on his feet. So we think for all these reasons.
I'm not aware of any policy of that, but
It's been stated
like
in the
that.
past. All right? I think for all these reasons, but especially because it is, the wine shop was granted as a wine shop, that's how it got to be on the same street and 600 feet away, that it is too close to my client's store. There's not any showing that there's a public need for it. They're not offering anything unique that isn't offered, and that there's no need for this store.
So your client is 650, give or take away,
635.
35.
On the same street.
And what about, they seem to be coexisting now.
Well, one's just a wine
I
shop.
realize that, but they're obviously coexisting. Because your client's sales have gone up pretty steadily.
Well, it's not gone up appreciably when you consider how the other costs in the area are going up.
Well, 200,000 over 4 years.
Yes,
We've had a boost in 2013 after Hurricane Sandy. We had a lot of people coming out, but the reality is the sales have been flat and our costs have not been.
Okay.
And this year, our sales are flat as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for defending my honor there on the submission. If you take a look at the actual
I'd
application.
rather not have to do that.
Me too. I'd rather not have to have you do that. If you actually look at the application, however, although it wasn't listed as the 4 closest, we provided a land report, obviously not always accurate, it wasn't in there, but we did actually make a notation on the page. Hey, Dry Dock's not in there. Here's a map of it. So there was no question about my intentions here or the fact that we disclosed all those items. And of course, we know you get your information through your own channels as opposed to just our submission, but I just wanted to make that point that there was no attempt to deceive the authority here by failing to point that out.
Okay.
With respect to the merits of why
So, I mean, the first question I have is why buy a wine store if you want to turn it into a liquor store?
Sure. Great question. My clients are veterans of the wine, spirits, hospitality industry. Worked for years in some of the top restaurants in New York City. Worked with on the wholesale side with distributors, really truly know the products at a different level than most people do. So it's always been an attractive idea for them to have a wine and spirits store. They developed a relationship with the woman who owned this wine store. They know this neighborhood. They like this neighborhood. She was moving. It seemed like a good opportunity. And you know, as you well know, purchasing a store is always a better avenue to get a retail store than applying from scratch. The other note here is that there is another liquor store on this block, even closer to my client's location, which
Who's that?
actually closed within the last year. That is Al's Wine and Liquor. It's 329 Van Brunt, less than 500 feet away.
When did that close?
It expired in June 30th, 2017, and they have been there for 80 years. 1930.
And we didn't replace that, Jackie?
Doesn't look like.
That's a restaurant going in there, you said, right?
Al's. It's a restaurant, it's gonna turn into a restaurant.
So it's a restaurant.
Okay.
So, you know,
It was a replacement, Rick, we'll clarify that.
Little Harry's?
Bush Hook is their legal name.
There was another liquor store on the corner of Sullivan.
Which is the third one.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Levin.
Anyway, so it appears as though there could potentially be a need for a replacement store here. Additionally, there haven't been any new liquor store licenses granted in this neighborhood in the last 6+ years. The development has been pretty significant, residential, commercial, office space. The ferry is now coming to Red Hook. This seemed like a ripe neighborhood that is not overrun with liquor licenses, where there would be an opportunity here. All four closest stores have steadily increasing sales over the last number of years, and it seemed like there was an opportunity here where it would make sense.
There was one that was issued in 2014, though.
That was a replacement store or a transfer, right?
Evergreen? Doesn't say that here to me.
No, the removal was recent. Evergreen says a removal.
Okay, all right.
But as far as new licenses go, it's been some time with all four closest here. Additionally, Dry Dock, obviously the closest store to us on the same street. My clients plan to have a very, very different inventory selection than Dry Dock does, and they plan to operate a very different type of store. They've already done that with the wine store portion of this, and they would just like to expand their inventory to include spirits as well. They're doing regular seminars, regular tastings. They're creating a very different experience that consumers can get in the neighborhood. They're incorporating other businesses, trying to bring life and people to other vendors in Red Hook, and are truly embracing the sense of community that they should be.
Now, you mentioned, and I, for whatever reason, don't have their personal questionnaire here. What's their experience?
Sure. Hear directly from my client.
I've been a bartender, restaurateur for, since 1985. My last job before I got into wholesale distribution was, I led Madison Park. I was a head bartender for 4 years. I worked for Daniel Boulud. I worked for Restaurant Associates, Spring House.
So do you still intend on carrying all the wines that you carry now, right? And so what percentage are you looking at carrying spirits to change that mix?
In terms of labels or in terms of volume?
Well, percentage versus the wine. Right now, you're 100% wine, so what would be the percentage of spirits?
Probably 10-20%. I expect wine to drive business. My strengths are broad and diverse.
And who's going to be active there besides you? Because I see you have a lot of partners here.
My wife. My wife and I. The partners are silent partners.
Except for your mom, she's not silent. Most of our moms aren't.
That's their job.
You received my submission from last week.
Yes.
The development, the ferry plan.
Yes.
all those types of things. So, another item just to point out that in the opposition paperwork, they indicated that the residential buildings over here are all of the real 4-story variety, nothing more major than that, more significant than that. We've submitted some information that covers that. I've got some additional documentation if you'd like it, of live photos of actual construction if you think it's necessary. So you can see that although as I mentioned in my submission, the population growth in this neighborhood is supposed to grow by approximately 100% over the next decade. A lot of this stuff is not, 6, 8, 10 years into the future. A lot of it's actually coming online more recently.
Jackie, what's the situation with that store that closed?
You're talking about Al's, right?
The what?
The one that closed, the.
In
store.
2017, yeah.
It was really surrendered in November 2015, and you indicated that it was, I should say, the opposition indicated that it was replaced by Harry's. But Al's submitted opposition when Bush Hook was before the board.
So he was still open?
He was still open at the time.
Yeah, no, Bush Hook was open in 2013.
I got September, I think, of 2012.
Okay.
And again, there was a statement made that this is going to be a store of the bigger box variety. That's not what this is. This is a small store.
No, he's saying something else opened.
It's open, yes, sir.
Yeah. How far is that? I don't remember opening that.
Open, which one was?
The
They removed, hang on.
Yeah, they just removed.
I gotta see if I left them up.
If I could add one thing that's, I think, very important in terms of really looking at the overall land of the radius of where stores can be. About 60% of our radius is in the East River, the Gowanus, and the harbor. So geographically, there is not land to support that whole land usage circle.
No, I understand that, but you're also not talking about dropping a brand-new store in there. We're talking about somebody changing the product mix by 10 or 20%.
We're also talking about numbers in terms of increasing population where I don't see it's possible, given that the population in the neighborhood has gone down since Sandy, given that all of those.
Well, then your speculation is completely an opposite to every article I've read.
Red Hook gets an awful lot of press. The reality is.
And they're all wrong?
Zoning, you can't change zoning.
It's zoned for light industry with some residential overlay. More than half the population lives in the Red Hook houses, which are most likely not customers for either one of our stores.
Okay.
I would also add that it's such a small percentage of alcohol that they want, if they stick with wine, it's really not going to be affecting them that much.
Members, as it pertains to your question regarding 21st Century, they removed from 12th Street to 581 Clinton Street. Was approved by the board and issued on April 30th of this year.
And the point they made in that hearing was that they were really not a store for Carroll Gardens on the other side of Hamilton. They were to appeal to Red Hook customers.
Okay.
It is a little bit further away, but the reality is it's a block away from the post office. And that's, the one post office everybody goes to, so it's not that far out of the way.
Okay.
If you look at the 4 closest stores, again, sales are all up with the closest stores, with the exception of the opposition.
Well, theirs is actually up, but I can't figure out Fat Cats, who's gone down almost 50%.
Their number was only for half a year.
Ah.
The second page that has the whole.
Okay. Okay.
I would argue that they're increasing. If you also look at the distance.
No, I have the numbers, so I don't need you guys to argue. I can see them.
If you look at the distances, with the exception of the people who are opposing us here today, everything else is kind of a significant ways away. And again, the development in Red Hook is significant, as you heard from my client directly, with a 10 to 20% of their inventory being spirits and different labels than you can find at the opposition store in the community. As they said, it wouldn't affect our business to stay wine. I don't think it would affect their business for us to make this slight change. Our clients are focused on hospitality. Their clients want certain things they can't get in the neighborhood. They still continue to make wine their driver, but they would to add some other things to the inventory.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
I would like to know what spirits that we're not providing that you can't get.
Given that we're listed in Zagat and known to be one of the highest concentration of local New York State spirits, we have regularly scheduled every week 3 nights tastings, we hold seminars, we have outside events. We are known in the community, we donate a tremendous amount to people, to nonprofits in the community. I'm trying to understand what it is that they can do that we already haven't done in our 8 years being their neighbors.
Okay.
If anyone requests any product, they will carry.
Okay, thank you. You have anything else to ask?
No. No, I'm good.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at all the, everyone here, and it looks like everyone has, sales have, I'm going to say, just modestly increased in most cases, some a little bit more than others, except for the one Fat Cats that we, well, I guess we can extrapolate that they've gone up as well too, even though we only have half a year. It's a store that's already there, and I think if it's only a change of like 20%, and I would cap it at 20%, I would approve based on no more than 20% spirits, 80-20.
I'm going to vote to approve. I'll grant the same condition. It's it's not ideal because there is a store within 0.1 miles, but they are coexisting right now. The sales in a 3-year period have increased, not enormously, but they are steadily going up. And the sales of the other closest stores have also increased. So I disagree. I think there is development going on in Red Hook. I think it's been documented very, very well, and there's clearly going to be an increase in population. And the applicant has significant experience that I think he can add a public convenience and advantage by adding spirits. So I'm going to vote to approve with his condition.
Yeah, 20%.
Can we take 5 minutes?
To go? All right, we're back from the recess. The next item is 1003A, Una Pizzeria Napolitana LLC.
Didn't I see it? No community board here?
No, actually, we have community board approval.
Oh, I saw that. I thought I saw Mr. Oh, this isn't yours? Oh, okay.
893, you said?
All right, go ahead.
1003A.
The application for use for a tavern wine license.
Yeah, I've seen many articles. New York seems to be happier back.
Jeremiah Stone, one of the principals here with me today, chef and owner of 2 other restaurants in Community Board 3 on this block, actually, with full liquor licenses.
What are the other two?
Contra and Wilder. And before that board,
Yes, okay.
actually more recently, wine store license.
And what are the hours?
Closing at midnight, 7 days a week. We have a community board agreed to stipulation. We have a block association stipulation agreed to as well. Nothing but support and excitement about this application. The reason it's before you today is because the landlord in this space was a principal on a prior unrelated license in the space. That license got canceled for a number of false misrepresentations, as I understand it. That individual is not involved in any way, shape, or form with this license, other than that he is the landlord and he accepts rent, and then
Okay, I'm vote to approve with the stipulations made as part of the license. Good luck.
This is one I previously denied.
No.
Which one, 103?
No, this is a new restaurant. Well, it's a restaurant that was here that's now coming back. We never saw this before.
Oh, okay. I'll vote to approve as well with those with stipulations.
Next item, 893, Laurel Lake Vineyard LTD.
Morning, Larry Fogelman, the applicant. Lawrence Fogelman, one of the principals. This winery has been licensed since the 90s. This gentleman's company from Chile, Walker Winery, 19 years ago, and 19 years has had a impeccable record with the Liquor Authority.
Except it's very bad at paperwork.
I cannot disagree with you on that. They have
So they fixed all this?
They have significantly fixed all this. They have I can give you copies of.
No, you don't need to.
Bulletin board now looks like with timetables of what everything has to be done.
You're happy with what they did?
Yeah, and we'll be checking.
Okay.
What I'd like to request is considering their low sales, low profit, and significant long history with no violations, and the fact that they've done, they've been really cooperative with Council Riano and Council Seeger, and the fact that they now have their procedures fully documented, and the fact that they've done significant charity work in the community, and have made donation after donation after donation, despite the fact that they don't make very much money. We would really like to have you consider a lower penalty. I don't even want to suggest it. If you would, I'll make a suggestion. If you go along with it, that would be wonderful. We know we made the offer. That was the offer that was told to us by council to make in order for it to get up here. But if you could reduce this to somewhere below 6 figures, that would be wonderful.
I mean, they took an enormous amount of time investigating this as well as negotiating this, so I'm not really inclined to reduce it. These are serious charges, and it goes right to the heart of the alcohol beverage control law, that if you're not price posting, the whole system falls apart. So I'm not going to reduce it. I'll accept the offer as it is.
My client would like to make.
Sure.
We totally understand that we make a serious mistake, and that was absolutely our handling with all the paperwork. That was our fault, but it was not intended at all. Matter of fact, our intention is to produce good wine, help the community, and we take a big toll in our business to ensuring that there are no giving wine to minors, to people who look intoxicated with cat buses and limos. So that brings our business almost 40% in the last 3 years. And I would say this year we start bringing back this.
Okay.
And they have just sent their main compliance person to attend a licensing compliance for craft manufacturers course, which took place in April of 18 in Albany. And so they were forced to buy these charges, but they certainly have now, I'll say, taken this much more seriously. I would doubt very much whether there will be any future violations. They're a small, not terribly profitable winery on Long Island, and having a fine of $125 is really.
I understand that, but as I said, they're selling wine at below the posted prices. I mean, it's just, if we don't treat this as seriously as possible, then what's the incentive for somebody else not to do that? And that just, as the whole system will cave in if that happens. So I'm going to accept the offer as it is.
I'm going to accept the offer as it is as well.
And I hope we never see him again. I hope that this is it.
Same here.
All right, the next item, 956, Alfred B. Hospitality LLC.
Sure.
The next item is 981, Royal Pub, Inc.
Very good morning to the board. My name is Michael Riley. I represent the applicant.
Hi.
He is the sole stockholder, shareholder, and principal of the applicant.
Is he aware what happened at this place prior to him owning it?
Absolutely not. In fact, I've done extensively.
Are you aware? So you weren't aware that the previous license was revoked a year ago?
No, we found that out when his temporary was rescinded by the board. What had happened was, we sent initially our notification to the town of Brookhaven. They sent us a letter back. I sent that over to the board. You may have it, but I have a copy as well. It said that they sent to the town of Brookhaven's Division of Fire Prevention, Office of Town Attorney, and Suffolk County Police Department my client's notification of the application. We spoke to him this morning. There are no reservations with the town. They've received no objections from any of the authorities that they had notified. Yesterday, I spoke directly with the 7th Precinct, was transferred to the sergeant that's in head of the crime patrol. Spoke to him. He's told me that my client has gone down there numerous times and kept checking if he has any problems with the PD. Absolutely not. He has.
Well, why would he have problems now? He's not selling alcohol.
No, he doesn't. He has another establishment, which is a grocery store wine and beer.
Oh, no, I know he doesn't have problems with that.
Right, and he actually is very active with the PD there and cooperates with them. He also lives in Sherwood. He had no idea that this place was ever had its liquor license revoked.
How'd you find this place?
He actually spoke to a person. He went to speak directly with the landlord because he does have a business there and he lives there. It's a pretty small community, show. He then also, which you would have much better, his background, he did what's called an application for letter of good conduct. I have a copy of that, where the PD actually looks at his background, see if he's done anything wrong, and then writes a letter.
Does he know Char and Cower? Char and Cower? K-A-U-R? So you don't know any of the owners, former owners of this place? And have you ever owned an on-premise license before? So what made you want to do this one? Other than that, you work nearby. Are you going to run it?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
And who's going to run your grocery store?
He's also going to take the ATAP course. He's also, again,
So here's the deal. Because of what happened here before, and we did a summary suspension before, that if that happens again, I will not hesitate to revoke the license, which means you lose your other one. Do you get that? You're going to lose both of them.
How close are they? So easy for you to go back and forth, is what I'm asking? Yeah, this
I
place.
mean, this place was bad. Focal point, 5 disorderlies in 4 months.
he has absolutely no connection with the previous owners. He's
But
already,
it's-
he
okay.
has a security, he has a security guard, security company licensed and bonded, that's ready to go. Again, he's been speaking.
What are the hours?
In fact, again, yesterday, I was speaking to the police department, and there's been so much there saying whatever he can do to cooperate with the PD, and they actually said that he's coming to get a nuisance. So he's gonna do,
I'd rather he be their nuisance than my nuisance, so.
again, like I said, I give advantage of it, both, the two people I spoke with yesterday. He has no connection with the previous owner. He's not gonna run his business in any way, shape, or form like that. You could look at his other license, he's had virtually, yes, I believe one altercation, one notice of pleading before the SLA.
He has one sale to minor
Right, 5 years ago, nothing ever,
3 years ago.
3 years.
So,
All right, I'll vote to approve with those hours. No DJs, no live music, so 11 to 1. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I did.
No DJs, no live music, no promoters. And all employees are to take ATAP, including the owner.
you know, when we suspend a license, that's pretty serious. So I just think it's really incumbent upon you to make sure that you don't go down that road again, because as the chairman said, if it comes back again, it's not going to be good right out of the gate. So I'll vote to approve on those same conditions as the chairman just noted, and good luck.
Good luck.
11 and 1 and 4 must take ATAP including.
Yes.
They'll all
sir.
be on the letter.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank
All
you.
right. Next item, 932, Pam Group, Inc.
Morning, John Hyland and Jay Longstock from Sherry and O'Neill for licensee, and Anil Amin, one of the principals of the licensee.
So this is a prearranged, this is one of the ones we talked about, Chris?
Yes.
See, this didn't have that notation on it. This is one of the ones I was asked, oh, I missed it? Ah, okay. All right, I'll accept 20,000.
I'll accept as well.
Next item, 956, Alfred B. Hospitality, LLC.
What?
956.
Oh, it's the one we did already?
We pulled it out, and then we had to hold it.
What, do you got a little desk out there or something?
Setting up shop out there or what?
I'm going to the bathroom, and then I went out to talk to all my clients. Actually, these clients are on the way up here. The application before you is a full liquor license pursuant to a sale of assets, so a transfer, in a space that's been licensed with a full license for the last 6 years. We do have opposition here today in the form of Mr. Booth and Maxwell. So, see, look forward to that.
Yep. Is your client here?
They're on their way.
Okay. Go ahead.
Community Board 2. I think that our resolution outlines a lot of the issues fairly clearly. One of the main points of concern is the hours of operation. I see that the 500-foot hearing report and recommended closing hours of 11. Well, local residents, when they came before us, recommended midnight at 1. Recommended 2 across the board, and the applicants are asking for 2 during the week. More
So let me ask you this, though, that seems to me to be the only issue, because you did agree to everything, or they agreed to everything else, but this place had 4 AM for 6 years, and it didn't cause, at least in our history, it didn't cause any issues, there's no history with us. So why?
That's a good question. Actually, there is a history, perhaps not with the Liquor Authority, but with the Department of Buildings. They've been issued violations in the past.
Well, is that about the hours?
It's actually the use of the basement. That the basement was not properly permitted at that time. In 2008, they received a violation.
Do we have that?
It was occupied. I have a copy of this.
No, I'm saying, wouldn't that be a violation with us?
It could be, yeah.
No, we don't have it.
So there was a violation using the basement in 2008, in 2009, and there was a DJ booth that was built without permits in 2010. That's why I think that there was an issue here with residents felt that use was inappropriate in the past. It seems that it's been resolved, but that's where there's an issues.
So you're penalizing these guys for the former owner owning the DJ, well, let me finish. You're penalizing these guys for the former owners using the basement and building a DJ booth, and the penal route that you took was to tell them that they can't open for 2 longer hours that the other guy was allowed to open.
No, the point was that the space wasn't presented properly in the past, and that's really the issue. It's not about penalizing them, but I mean, just because somebody's been there before doesn't mean that
No, but the law allows for 4 AM, and I don't always grant 4 AM, as you know, but someone did grant the former licensee 4 AM, and it appears, based on those hours, that the place did not cause a problem. I mean, is that all accurate?
residents pointed out. I mean, I think that there have been problems.
Is that mine or yours?
That's why complaints were made to the New York City Department of Buildings, because there were complaints. I mean, as you know,
But their complaints related to 4 AM closure, or?
unresolved open violations still to this day for 2 of them.
Well, you're missing the point. I get that those may be violations, but they're not related to the closing time.
I understand that, but the point is that it shouldn't have been, the license should not have been issued in the first place. I mean, and going back because it wasn't had proper permits in place.
We had a letter of no objection for the seller of the premise dated 2012. So it was after that, but then that would have been a.
I know, but I still don't see the connection
Yeah, I know.
between 4 AM and the use of the cellar.
Right.
Well, I mean, just.
Am I missing
It's okay
something?
to use it at 2, but not to 4 because
Right.
of these violations.
I think that if going into this a little bit more in depth, if you look at the menu, the food, this is not a restaurant in typical definition, might be a slightly expanded menu, but it's pretty much falls in line, I think, much more with the definition of what you have as a traditional bar. The method that they're, izakaya is a Japanese pub. The definitions of that generally fall into the comparisons are similar to tapas bar, early American saloons and taverns. We've had experience with other similar type things, and they've been a problem. And with the later hours of operation, that's and I think that in this area we keep coming before you with more and more people who are looking to open restaurants, and one of the burdens is the later hours of operation, and that's why.
I usually support what you're saying, but here they already had later hours. They're not asking for later.
Operator, but this is a new application.
But they're not asking for later, they're asking for the same. Actually less, I think, didn't the other place have 4 AM across the board?
And I think that that's the point that I was making, that the recommendation from the 500-foot report, I think that outlines the issues there pretty well. And the hours that they had recommended were 11 midnight. The residents, when they came before us, were looking at midnight and 1 AM. And we had recommended 2 AM across the board. And that's,
I had it just Friday and Saturday at 4 AM.
That's what they had last time.
That's for swine, right? Prior license.
Okay.
But the other issue was also with respect to the outdoor area. I don't know if they provided any documentation to show that the outdoor area is within the property line. I don't believe that it is. I'm prepared to
They didn't, so, correct, you didn't? Right, but we're going to need document, yeah, I'm in agreement with him on that. We're not going to grant that unless you have documentation of it. Because your point is you have to go through the Department of Consumer Affairs if it's not. Okay. And do you want to speak, ma'am?
Can we just take a second? I think there may be a problem with their microphone.
With
As
their
far as-
microphone?
As far as people
Okay.
viewing on the web.
I can hear him. Did you hit the button again?
Not me this time.
I mean, it's not recording either, right?
It's not gonna pick up anything.
Well, these will pick her up if she speaks loud enough.
Hold on just for a second, though.
No, it's not on at all.
If you don't object, I'll move a little.
No, there's,
Well, that doesn't look good.
It's like it's loose. It's not connected. It's not connected.
Has that been all morning?
I just got an email that just now that they couldn't hear it on the web. So I'm hoping that it's something.
So Mr. Booth has to say everything again?
I have Mr. Booth's comments from every meeting. I just put them together and. I'm just finding this out, so I'm guessing it just happened recently.
There we go.
Thank you, and good morning. My name is Catherine Quinn. I live at 545 Hudson Street, and I'm a member of the community group that met initially with the new applicant, the West Village Residents Association. Really, it's an issue of credibility. The entity that was there before, Swine, while they may have had later hours, they were really, truly a restaurant. As it turns out, not a successful restaurant, but they were a restaurant. When the community group met with the applicant, they made the pitch that they were going to be a neighborhood restaurant, and their primary purpose, as I believe consistent with the zoning law, was to serve the immediate neighborhood. We then asked them, well, why do you need to be open until 4 a.m.? And they said, because we want to be open so when our colleagues who are chefs and restaurant workers in other establishments throughout the city, when their establishment closes, we want to have a place for them to come and eat and drink. And so our view is that this is really an attempt to go more from being a relatively well-behaved restaurant, a genuine restaurant, all right, admittedly exclusively serving pork, to a bar. And we support the administrative law judge's view based on the appearance of actual intention to be a bar, to restrict the hours to 11 p.m. during the week and midnight on weekends.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. As mentioned, the application before you, transfer pursuant to a sale of assets for a restaurant and bar in the space 531 Hudson Street. My clients are applicants and licensees with the Liquor Authority. One of them at least has been on a license for a considerable amount of time. Others have been for shorter periods, but still with good histories with the authority. The director of operations of this group is actually one of the former
principals on the license that was here, that was swine, for the last 6 years. So there will be some continuity with respect to.
Which one was that?
He's not a principal on the license. His name is John McNulty. It was in the materials I submitted as a director.
Oh, he's
of
going to be a
operations.
manager, okay.
Correct. But there is some continuity as an individual who went through all these corrections that Deputy Commissioner Held mentioned in 2012 with the letter of no objection. I have, if you'd like to see it, a resolution from the community board from that time period indicating what they laid out as proposed stipulations for the swine folks, as well as the resolution for my clients, the applicants here. There was a DJ booth that was constructed that wasn't supposed to be there. There were some DOB issues, and the individual who was kind of crossing over here was involved with the taking care of all of those issues 6 years ago. As you mentioned, Chairman, you guys don't have anything in the file in terms of negative history, in terms of actual operations, noise, late night issues, things like that, because there haven't been any. My clients who are licensed by the authority have 4 a.m. liquor licenses, have proven they can do this responsibly late, and their intentions are genuine. They presented the community board, the block association, and the authority with a plan to operate a restaurant and bar, and they plan to do just that. I trust that you've received my submission from last week.
Yes.
So you see this is a fairly well thought out plan with people who have a really great pedigree and have built a career operating responsible establishments. The issues with DOB have been taken care of as far as I know at this point with respect to the outdoor space. Of course, we want to operate legally, and if that means going to the Department of Consumer Affairs to get some sort of allowance, of course we'll.
Well, I mean, I think that on that point, the community board just wants to see evidence of it, and I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, I
Yeah.
agree with you that it's not. And in this instance where we're talking about a sale of assets and a transfer, we did not ask for later hours. We asked for exactly the same hours that existed because the people who were there proved that they could do that responsibly in that space. And we've proven at other locations that we can do that responsibly. So we are simply asking to transfer the method of operation, the hours, and everything that goes along with it. Again, our intentions are genuine to operate a restaurant with a bar program. And we've got a lot of credibility in the industry, in the community. I think I also sent you the copy of the petition signatures from local residents as well as letters from local residents. You'll notice that one of them lives directly next door, right across the street. These are fairly close. So these guys have, a reputation of being able to operate in residential mixed-use neighborhoods and doing so responsibly.
Okay, thanks.
So it looks like you're not going to have any more than, what, about 55 people total?
Correct. So we're actually going to have.
Does that include employees?
We're going to have a lesser seat count than the prior licensee had in the space.
And the music is just recorded?
Recorded background music, yep. No DJs, nothing live.
And what are the 20 events a year, the buyout? That would be a buyout of the whole restaurant, or?
It would be something like that, but it would never be a situation where we give the keys away. It'd be something where
No,
someone
I
rents
know,
out the
but
restaurant for
it's
dinner.
basically you're shutting for a private party.
Sure. We don't anticipate doing that a tremendous amount, but I've actually been before this board again. Additionally, on behalf of these clients, they're very well known in the hospitality industry. They're very involved in a lot of the national bartending, hospitality industry events, and they do host events. People do come to see what they're doing, and that's why that could happen.
And you're going to be open 7 nights a week?
Correct. And restaurant kitchen's going to be open the entire time the space is open.
Could I have a word with counsel, please?
Ready? All right, we're back on the record.
I think Mr. Booth has that look that he wants to say something, so I'm going to let him.
Just one more thing.
So I started to mention this, but one of the other issues that as far as the restaurant component is that, looking at the food menu, it's fairly light for what would typically be considered a restaurant. I think that the meals that they're offering seem to fall much more in line with sandwiches or salads. I mean, it's burgers, shrimp toast, salads, noodles, mac and cheese, and that's not really in the definition of what a restaurant is typically in our area, and that's a
You don't
part of
see
the
octopus
reason.
balls a lot, though.
Well, that is true, but that
I'm
falls
just wondering
under
what
the-
that is.
under the tapa style of things. But that's our concern, and that we had while we're not. We've had a similar style restaurant of which one of the principals was affiliated with that was struggling with this model and became much more of a drinking establishment, and that's where our issues lie in, and then that's why we were trying to find a compromise between everybody that the issues with later hours wouldn't become an issue in that area, and that was really where the reasoning for that is I mean, we're not. We find that this is a reasonable balance for that. So.
All right, thanks. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm good. This needing to stay open until 4 a.m. To service other folks getting out, I hear that all the time. And I don't always necessarily agree with it. The place has no adverse history that we can really find, but I'm willing to give you till different hours during the week than on the weekends. I'm thinking 1 o'clock during the week, and for now 3 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays. That's going to be where I'm at. 1 o'clock Sunday through Thursday, and 3 o'clock on Friday and Saturday.
So if I could,
Well, you might want to hear from me first.
Okay, sure.
It's obvious here that there was a level of compromise by the community board, which particularly this community board is usually not willing to do. And I'm in agreement with them, since it's clear to me that the residents have asked for much earlier hours, and for whatever reason, our ALJ agrees with them as well. But I'm inclined to agree with the community board and just give 2 o'clock across the board, given the method of operation that you have and that this neighborhood. I don't know that there's a lot of 4 a.m. licenses in this neighborhood, and I don't really see a need to keep this place open till 4, given on what's been presented, but I know you said 3, so I don't know what you want to do. Do you want to move off of that, one way or the other?
2 across the board? Yeah, I'm willing to do that.
And then obviously the other stipulations you've already all agreed to, so I'll make them part of the license too. The Sidewalk Cafe, if you can show them, if they're satisfied with what you show them, then I don't even think it needs to come here, does it?
Shouldn't. You just have to provide that it's within the
yeah,
property lines.
exactly.
If it has to go through Consumer Affairs, then it would have to come back here. Okay?
Just for clarification on that, I'm fairly confident it's not within the property line. I can actually show you.
So if it has to go-
Everything else, it would actually be, if it goes to the Department of Consumer Affairs, then I don't think it needs to come back. But if it is within the property line or it's documented, then it would come back to.
Well, for the hours, okay, what he said.
We'll talk later. I have no idea what you-
No, I mean, he's basically saying that if it is within the property line, but he's pretty secure it's not, then they're going to be allowed to use it, but he's going to want to come in and argue against the hours.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay,
All
anything
set?
else, Mr. Levy?
You're both in agreement? Okay.
All set.
Okay.
But if it goes through the Consumer Affairs Department, it does
That's
not need to
fine.
come back here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next item is 980, Dutton and Duffy Restaurant, Inc.
Good morning. My name is Brian Condon from Condon, Katina, and Mara. I'm the attorney for the applicants Duton and Duffy Restaurant, Inc. Standing to my right is Brian Duffy, and standing to my left is Fabian Duton.
So correct me if I'm wrong here, you guys did a corporate change and didn't tell us, and it was an oversight on either your representative's part or their part, and we denied as a result of them notifying us. So
Actually, Mr. Chairman, if I may, these two gentlemen worked as waiters and staff at the restaurant. Mr. Duffy has been there since 2008. Mr. Duton's been there since 2004. They bought the business from their boss, who was running it since 1998 and has had a liquor license there. It's a restaurant wine license. It's a community Italian restaurant pizzeria where people want to have.
No, I get all that. I'm just trying to figure out what. So do we have? So they own it now.
They own it now. What the former owner and their boss did was
never told us that he sold it.
Never told you that he sold it.
And we denied because nobody told us.
Right.
And are we going to do
Yeah.
charges? Okay, so I'll send it back to licensing
Get
board.
'em- Get them in compliance.
All right.
Yeah.
Very well. Thank you very much.
Well, he's got to.
Back to licensing.
I'm sorry?
He had to vote too, but
Oh,
you're
I'm
good.
sorry.
You're good. He voted.
Thank you very much.
Next item is 987, Fiesta del Hurto, Inc.
Good morning, I'm Lynn Killian, representative for Fiesta de Huerto, and this is the applicant, Mr. Wilson Bermeo. And we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Well, so we have a long-standing request from the Village of Spring Valley that we take the police department's recommendation into effect because of the significant crime problems they've had that revolve around liquor licenses in their village. And since I've been here and since before I've been here, we've taken that to heart. And when they tell us that this is going to affect the public safety and welfare of the community, we have denied them. We now have a letter regarding this restaurant, right? Yes, restaurant, from the police, Lieutenant Richard Olazuk, asking us to deny this because of the fact that it will contribute to noncompliance issues and the criminal element that is occurring in Spring Valley that they're trying to avoid. So unless you can get a letter from him telling me that that's different, I'm not really inclined to grant this license.
Okay, I will make that attempt. I do have a resolution here from the village board.
Yeah, that seemed to be very confusing to me, why the police department would not be on the same page as the mayor and the village board, but based on my experience, I generally listen to the police department.
Okay, I was not aware of any, disapproval, but from them.
I can give it to you if you want.
So that would be great, and then I will follow up on that.
Well, I mean, I don't know whether you want to put this over, or just, we can deny it and you can reapply.
Or just, if you want to withdraw it, to have it off your record, and then reapply when you have the documents you want.
Yeah, and the resolution from the town, village, I mean, 3 voted yes and 2 abstained.
Yes,
So I'm not sure to what degree of support you really have there, but as the chairman said, we need to see something.
Okay.
And I don't know that this is actually even a reflection on your client. I think it's more, they have had significant problems there with restaurants and the element that those restaurants are bringing into that village.
Right.
And I think that's more of a reflection on that than it is on your client.
I believe that to be true also.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
So you're withdrawing, or?
I'll have to discuss it. Can I discuss it with?
Yeah, you can
my
come back in
client?
5 minutes if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Next item is 979, Friends of Division 21, Rockaway Breezy Point, Inc.
Do you have, can I read that quick?
Good morning.
Aye.
John Maroney of council to the Friends of Vision 21, Inc., also a member of that organization. Along here with me is Michael Schramm, president of that corporation.
So I asked you to come in because I want to make sure this stops as far as the behavior that's going on, or we're going to shut it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you were operating as a bar. Your clients were operating as an open bar. There was social media promotion, advertising $40 for 6 hours of drinking.
Correct.
This is supposed to be a place for members only.
That's correct. We understand that, and in our response, we clearly acknowledged and admitted our mistake with respect to that. And we've made all efforts to cure any future behavior such as that. And
you know, we don't end up out there by accident. We end up going into your establishment because people are calling complaining, and they're going to be your competitors. So the minute that you start doing this again, they're going to call us again, and the next time I'm going to shut it down.
I can assure you, Mr. Chairman, that will not under any circumstance happen.
All right, I'll accept $1,000.
I'll accept 1,000 as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Next item is 985, Digestive Gastronomic Spirits and Wine LLC.
Good morning. I'm Steve Fromard, owner of Digestive Gastronomic Spirits and Wine. That's a cute little play on my name, by the way. And proposed owner of the store Amaro Spirits and Wine, to be located at 211 7th Ave, Brooklyn. So I have multiple exhibits to present, which were submitted by my representative, but I have copies if you need them to follow along.
No, we have them.
Okay, and I promise to move quickly.
Do we have any opposition here in this? No. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I selected this location specifically because it strategically places my store to service a targeted area with a unique business model. So Exhibit B shows the yellow shaded area stretching 2 avenues from Prospect Park to my store on 7th, and 4 city blocks north and south comprising 3,382 residents. Exhibits E and 1 list the number of apartments and buildings. Also in Exhibit B, you'll see a purple shaded area that stretches 1 more avenue to the west of 7th Ave to 6th Avenue with 2,132 residents. Just to clarify, this is a very walking part of the city. Exhibit I debunks the misconception that Park Slope has a high density of stores in comparison to other neighborhoods. At 1 store per every 3,560 residents, it actually ranks behind Prospect Heights.
Well, it's not really, I don't know that I base the saturation on residents, I base it on distance. And you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stores in a half a mile of you.
Okay, I mean, they all also do though. I mean, they also have stores close to each other.
And there's quite a distance, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What's your name anyway?
My name is Valerie Vidal, I'm his wife.
Okay.
There's quite a distance. We kind of were lucky enough to find the sweetest block on 7th Avenue where far enough from churches, far enough from schools, and truly a distance between Prospect Wine and Sean Liquors. It's wide. We live there.
No, I see it, I see it.
And the reason why is because there are these 2 schools on either end that made it kind of impossible unless you had, unless one of those stores were open, and that's what happened.
Why don't you tell me what you plan on doing with the store?
Sure. So I would be the small store, first of all, so 750 square feet, 450 square feet of sales area. And what I want to do is, I'd have a specialty spirit selection of herbal digestives and aperitifs. And also none of the...
So how did you get into those?
So as a bartender for about a decade, but how I really got into them is when so as a full-time bartender, that's where I discovered them. But then when I lived in Europe is when I really got into it. I found out that there's this thing called the Amaro, which literally means bitter in Italian, and that it's an actual class of herbal digestive spirit that began its history as a medicinal digestive tonic. And it's not to be confused with eau de vie, cognac, schnapps, liqueurs. It's a specific subcategory. And there's an aperitif version that instead of helping with digestion, the herbs stimulate the appetite. So the feds don't have an official category for them. My aim is to bring this very defined category to the customer. As Exhibit G shows, the stores don't categorize or explain them accurately and stock them piecemeal, often mislabeling them, if they label them at all. But what's interesting, though, is that they are showing up more and more in stores because their characteristics are so distinct, the taste profiles, that they've become a full-fledged part of the cocktail mixologist craze here.
So what are you, is that all you're carrying is aperitifs?
No. So with wine, again, so my whole concept, if I could just say, it's essentially centered around what I call the table. And then the specialization is that. So it's kind of it's a bookend thing. It's the aperitif, the wine. No, I mean, wine, I'm all about the table, and food pairing is my focus. And there's no reason to offer the same labels as stores around me because we're lucky to be in a golden age of a small producer market with really knowledgeable importers and distributors. There's over 25,000 labels imported now in the U.S. and more added every day. So I can easily offer, and I will if you look at Exhibit G, equally good Burgundies, Bordeaux, Chiantis, Loire appellations, Chenin Blancs, Cab Sauvignons, and to the neighborhood that don't exist in the closest stores. I drink wine daily. I match it with food, events, people. I have a wide palate, appreciate all varietals. It's an integral part of my life, and that's exactly how I would sell it. That's my business model, to convey in plain language to my customers what they're drinking. I particularly value small, unique producers and who themselves, value quality over quantity and brand. Also, as I emphasize in Exhibit F in the customer brochure, for standard liquors like gin, vodka, rye, bourbon, New York State gets the first nod because I'm going to prioritize carrying them over others. And this is because I know a lot about the science of distilling. I've taken many courses. I love reading about just the engineering and chemistry behind distillation. And, like where Amari and herbal aperitifs have that extra layer of complex, very old herbal recipes on top of the science, standard liquor just depends on a good base ingredient for the mash and then the skill to harness the science from the still. So there's over 60 distilleries in New York, and they're doing great things with homegrown ingredients and skillful distillers. I've identified 14, just that alone, that I would put in there. And just to give you an idea, like it's my objective is in this place.
No, that's enough. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm
okay. I have yet to hear someone who is as into this as you are.
Yeah. No, I'm a geek.
Based on that, and the fact that you did seem to find a location that is
kind of a sweet spot.
Yeah, it's not really that close to any of the competitors, and you're clearly going to focus on something that I know nothing about, but you do, and it is definitely a specialized area that I don't think I've heard since I've been here much about it. So you are going to focus on that. So I think there is a public convenience and advantage just on that alone. So I'll grant the license.
I don't remember the last time, and no disrespect to anyone else, anyone came in who had invested so much of their personal time to have all their facts straight like this. So.
Well, we're assuming they're straight.
We're assuming that they're straight. They are. I think you've done your homework.
She's gotten lectured a few times.
You have to be here from the last time they appeared. You're just as passionate about it now as you are then. Thanks for remembering.
And to the chairman's point, I mean, you picked the perfect sweet spot with amongst the other stores around. And the other fact, too, is you're only talking about 450 square feet of retail. So, I'm going to vote to approve as well.
Good luck.
Good luck.
You've made my life. Thank you.
Oh, no, I hope that's not true.
And by the way, I saw your background. Go Irish. If you Google my last name, you'll see what I mean.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're going to recall 987.
We will withdraw the application at this time.
Okay,
and
thank
then-
you.
Thank you.
Can we take 2 minutes?
You all set?
Yep.
Jonathan? All right, we are back on the record, and we'll call item 958, Tavern 278, Inc.
Good morning, I'm Tracy Jong. I'm here with the applicant Jason
It's-
Boyd.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
958.
Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. My understanding was that this application has been kicked up because it had a prior history. There was an owner that operated there, my understanding, from talking to the police in the city, for over 20 years as a biker bar. That was more than 5 years ago. The property's been sold. It has been vacant. It hadn't operated anything there. My client didn't purchase any assets and has no knowledge or relationship with the prior business. He came in, he rented the place, and is looking to open a sports bar. After we became aware of the concern of the Liquor Authority, he came to me. He previously didn't have an attorney. We went in and supplemented the application. We did a full FOIL request with the police, with the net office, and provided all of the information, for full disclosure. So not only is the client aware of the prior history, we've made the full board aware, and we've also put in all of the things that he has in place to make sure none of that will happen. Again, we point out we have not one connection whatsoever with a prior landowner or operator. This isn't a sale of a business, and there's been a 5-year cooling off period between the licenses. So any of the clients that used to go to a biker chick bar are not likely to come to a restaurant and sports bar. He's operating, is closing at 11 o'clock at night, and to address the concerns that we
He
saw.
plans on closing every night at 11?
10 o'clock,
Said 10
10 to
here, yeah.
10, I apologize, 10 to 10.
Special events.
The only, yes, I think we put in the application that if they had a Super Bowl or a special event, as it is a sports bar, they would like to stay open until the close of that.
How many TVs does he have in the bar, or plan on having?
Plan on having about 10 TVs in the bar. Trying to start light because I did have to quit my job because of.
And what do we, so if it's a sports bar, what do we need the dancing, the DJ, and the live music for?
The DJ booth was already there and set up, and we don't really plan. We got a jukebox, so we don't really plan on using the DJ booth. We just let you know that.
So you don't need a DJ?
No.
And what kind of live music are we talking about?
Jazz, reggae bands, nothing crazy.
This is in the downtown area. A lot of the restaurants, they have done some renovation in Rochester where they have completely closed down entire neighborhoods for renovation and redoing their major inner loop. And so a lot of businesses have recently closed, especially in the inner city area. So this is part of renovating a completely empty area where there isn't really, it's a complete business area. There's no residences nearby. So they're looking to bring a place in to an area that the city's trying to revitalize.
What's the security situation? How many guards?
They have a position, if it's going to be a very busy night, they would have up to 4. We put in a diagram that shows both where the security cameras are inside and out, and also where they had the security company, they've hired them, we put in the information with a license, we had them come in and suggest where they would post people.
Well, I'm more worried about the number, so he's planning on having up to 4, but he's gonna have guards every night, at least one?
He's going to have at least one guard each night, but I think what's the occupancy, 40 to 50? Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, it's 99.
So let's say 100.
So the occupancy is 99?
Yes.
All right, it said 75 on the application.
Well, I mean, if we give you to 12 o'clock, is that enough?
Yes, 12 o'clock will be fine.
And no DJ, I don't care if there's a booth, you can use it as storage.
Yeah.
Because since you are aware of the history, I mean, it was prostitution going on here, stripping, police focal point, and underage sales. I mean, it was a pretty bad place. I realize it was 5 years ago, but it was bad.
It's just west of the inner loop, right?
Yes.
That is correct, and it was operated and owned by those people for a couple decades.
Yeah.
they-
So I'll vote to approve 12 a.m. closing all nights, security guard, at least one security guard every night, no promoters, and no DJ.
You're a pretty young guy, you know, with no experience doing this, but I don't think you could do any worse than what was going on there before. And it appears to not really be near any residences of any significant amount, so closing at 12, as the chairman just said, and all the other conditions as well, I will approve as well.
Now, after, you know, at some point, you're probably going to want to be open later, then you need to come back and ask us.
Okay.
Don't start opening later, because if someone complains, you're going to get written up for it, and that would be expensive. I probably would give you later after 6 months if you came back.
Okay, no problem.
Saw that you applied for a temporary.
Yes.
You want us to act on that? You
Yes.
good with that?
That would be
Yeah.
terrific.
Okay.
They've
Yeah, you
been
can
held
grant
up
the
for-
temporary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Next item is 947, Liquor Laboratory, Inc.
Good morning again, Tracy Jong. I'm here with Owen Meyer, president of...
So you have a client from Rochester, now from Worcester Street? How does this work?
I have clients all over the state. What it is...
I think I understand this. You basically were using staged pictures for marketing purposes. You were not operating prior to the license being granted.
That's correct.
Although I think our licensing people did the right thing by at least asking the question.
Well, I do have a question. Even the community board seems to be under the impression that you're licensed elsewhere, that you have classes, other classes in New York City area?
We have done pop-ups.
We've
where
looked-
I've gone and educated, when I go and educate, I'm a spirit specialist by trade.
Mhm.
So I've gone and done educational events elsewhere. Used to
You've
be
done
my
the
business.
events at other licensed locations?
Other licensed locations.
So you're the instructor, but it's somebody else's license?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I'll send this back to the licensing board.
Back to licensing.
Thank you.
Next item is 986, Old Friends Wine Cellar, Inc.
Are they here, or is this?
Someone signed in for it. Come on up.
I got no idea. What number?
986.
Is the applicant here?
We don't know.
Well, I don't even need, put your names on the record.
Eugene Damatov,
For what store?
Seneca Liquors.
Okay, next.
Francisco Valerio, Franja Liquors Inc.
Hong Wei Zheng for Jason Nicholas.
On, you're with him?
Yes, Seneca.
I had a lot of questions for this applicant. It is now 12:05. We started at 10. I'm assuming you gentlemen are going to tell me you don't want the store there because there's no public convenience and advantage to adding another one?
Correct.
And there's obviously a lot of questions that we had. I'm assuming Commissioner Ford had a lot as well, so I'm going to vote to deny.
Yeah, the closest store is, what, 1/10 of a mile away? Yeah, I'd vote to deny as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is 933. It's an application for a declaratory ruling regarding the 200-foot law for 53 East 11th Street in Manhattan. You want to wait?
We don't need him because it's really a
illegal.
technical argument. It's not about him.
I know you want to be here. Joseph Levy, here on behalf of a client of mine, Winter Properties, that owns a building within 200 feet of Baha'i Center on East 11th Street in Manhattan. The request before the members, actually, historically, I brought a request about 5 years ago asking for the members to decide whether this property should be considered for purposes of the 200-foot rule with respect to prohibition of getting a full liquor license within 200 feet of this space. At the time, the decision was that this building, although the Baha'i faith did not operate the entirety of the building necessarily, the events that were happening within the building sort of all furthered the interests of the Baha'i at the time, and that was the rationale for for why this was considered to be a church for 200-foot rule purposes. I provided examples of things that were happening within the building at the time that were outside the purview of, or oversight of the Baha'i. And anyway, it was denied 5 years ago. More recently, I was approached by someone, a different person. There's no license application tied to this. This is simply a landlord who's seeking sort of a reconsideration of this thought because they have a property within 200 feet that a tenant would like to rent, but only if they can get a full liquor license. So the programming in the space, all the things that were happening 5 years ago, the not-for-profit children's theater group, the jazz organization, the film screening company, all of these things are still taking place and taking place with regularity, and it's actually the prayer and worship portion of the programming that is the least, judging by their calendars and a few site visits that I've made to the site specifically. And what I'm asking the members to actually consider this space really as more of a community center, because I'm aware of the fact with the Fayez test that other things are allowed to take place within the building as long as they don't detract from the church practices. But what I'm presenting to the authority is that we're not talking about things that happen every once in a while. We're talking about things that happen with regularity, have for a number of years, and with more regularity than any sort of church practice. And all the different items, the theater production, the jazz production, the film screenings, they are all operated by independent groups that are not this center or have no true real ownership or affiliation with this group. So I'm asking the members to sort of take another look at this, especially in light of some of the other 78s and declaratory rulings that have come before them around the same time. And since then, that this use be considered really as more of a community center use, as there are different components of it that are rented out to different groups for different types of activities on a documented regular basis for the past 5 years.
Okay, thanks. Is that, you're here for this, right?
I am.
Yeah.
I'm here as an individual. I contacted an...
As an individual?
Yes. I
Not the
contacted...
community board?
No.
Is this not in your
contacted
community board's district?
It is, but we generally don't comment on these matters. So
okay.
I wanted to bring to your attention that the last time this was before the members of the authority, the East 12th and 13th Street Block Association, the East 11th Street Block Association, the East 10th Street Block Association, the University Place Residents Association, 2 building co-ops, and Assemblymember Glick commented on this. And I think that this should be put over for 2 weeks so that if they'd like to add any other additional comments, if this is something that you're considering granting, that you allow for commentary from them. I think that they had submitted extensive
Well, we have
testimony in the past.
Well, they may have, but
with respect to this.
we have, the only person I'm concerned about hearing from, other than the applicant, is the church, and I think we have a letter from them.
Yes.
I mean, this is really a legal argument, so I don't see what they could add to this, nor do I really need them to add anything. But I do believe that we did get something from. Did we get something, or am I missing that?
If I can provide you the past correspondence that is fairly detailed and went into people's personal experiences with the different events. That's why I think that in particular, the block associations are very.
No, we do have statements from the Secretary of the Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'i of the City of New York, which is really what I'm concerned about. So while I appreciate their opposition to this, I'm not going to put it over 2 weeks.
Okay.
But that's all you had to say about it?
Well, I just wanted to make sure and give you the copies from Assembly members.
Oh, you can give me. Yeah, you can give me that.
These are current, or these are from 5 years ago?
Yeah.
The notice for this wasn't shared with any of the other interested parties who'd commented.
Well, as you pointed out, I don't know that, other than Glick, I don't know that any of them are interested, because it's really a legal argument.
And again, last time, one of the issues was that a lot of the block associations, at least in my opinion, were sort of using this issue as a way to prevent liquor licenses on the block, and
Well, as you and I both know, that's what the law is used for frequently. and There's nothing wrong with that.
I get it. But
So, I mean, here's my view on this, is I don't, you know, I have a great deal of respect for the guy that sat here before me. And nothing in my mind has changed. You know, in 2007, there was an amendment to this law that basically said that as long as it's incidental use, and they didn't really talk about how much use it was, but as long as it's incidental and not inconsistent with the organization, that there wasn't a problem. This board, although I wasn't sitting on it, has already found that the uses you described were incidental and not inconsistent with the religious organization. So I don't see any, since nothing's changed, I don't see any reason to overturn that at this point, based on the law, the case law that's there, as well as the previous ruling of this board.
can I point out an Article 78 decision to you?
Yeah, and well, you can point one out, and you're welcome, obviously, to bring one.
Sure.
And there's also obviously a legislative fix here as well, although since the assembly member is against it, I don't know how
Yeah, no,
how
I don't
popular that would be.
I don't think that's a viable avenue. When, at the time that we submitted the declaratory ruling request years ago, although it was published in 13, it actually started probably almost a year before that in terms of checking location, doing research, things like that. There was actually a decision from 2012, the St. Mary the Virgin versus Logan Sanctuary. It was a 78 case that actually Terry did. And this actually is fairly analogous to the current situation, which was not part of the prior discussion. And, you know, if you want me to write something up on this and.
No, you don't need to.
I'm
Did you
happy
reference
to.
it here?
You know, I didn't because it was kind of one of those subsequent items that.
I mean, I'm not, you know, the Article 78 cases, I don't know that changed the law per se. I think that if you want to bring an Article 78 and a judge tells me I'm wrong, then obviously,
No,
I had a judge for a father and he told me I was wrong every day, so I can live with that.
No, my point with this is that the facts are actually fairly analogous in that we have a not-for-profit theater company renting space within this church, and the back and forth through the legal process here inevitably wound up with the license getting issued, stating that these not-for-profit theater companies taking place within the church, although they were not-for-profit entities, did sort of impeach the exclusivity of this building. So this was a case that I hadn't found previously, was not discussed previously, and I just wanted to bring it to the members' attention because I thought that the facts were significantly analogous to where we are today.
And I just don't, they may be analogous, I just don't agree that the uses that have been described here are inconsistent with the religious goals of this organization. And the secretary of the organization, you know, he may be using the law as well, but that he has agreed with my base, or I'm agreeing with him, I guess. And I think that these things, all the activities he stated were basically in support of his congregants and consistent with the goals of the church. So as a result, I see all those uses as incidental, just like this board did previously, so.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Commissioner Ford?
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. Going to let it stand, too.
So just for clarification, do you want a new ruling issued to kind of confirm?
Well, I mean, yeah, because if he wants to bring an Article 78, the other
You
one.
also declined to issue a ruling.
No, I'll bring a ruling because I'm going to give him the right to go to court if he wants to. I mean, he couldn't with the one that's already 5 years old. It's already.
He could challenge the refusal to issue the ruling.
Well, no, we'll challenge it on the merits.
Commissioner Ford,
Thank
you're
you.
good with that? Okay.
Yes.
You just don't want to write a decision.
I'm going to copy the one I did last time.
Just copy and paste.
Next item is 959, Benedum Cuisine, Inc. Are you still waiting for Mr. Parisi to show up?
If you would like us to wait for him to show up, yeah.
No, I'm asking you.
Are you in opposition?
No,
You are the applicant.
I work with Mr. Parisi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't need him. Go ahead.
I won't tell him you said that.
No, it won't. Go ahead.
We're here because the...
Just note your name for the record, please.
Bruce Sturman. And these are the proprietors.
Helena Gurma.
Benia Mosfal.
Marta Malabazi.
So, I mean, really, I think the reason you're here is because this has been disapproved so many times because of deficiencies. And the one question I had, which was a deficiency I think that you guys caught, was the guy the restaurant is named after was never on the application before.
The first time that the application was filled out, Helena filled it out. She thought she could do it herself.
Okay. All right, you don't need to go further. What, are you open now without alcohol? And what are the hours?
The hours are from 12 to 10.
12 to 10?
Yes.
Every day?
On Sundays, 12 to 9.
And you need a waiver of the 2 restrooms? You do have 1 restroom, though?
One restroom.
And is there anything besides recorded music in the place?
Right now, no, but in the future, we're planning to have like some, traditional music once in a while, when there's an occasion.
So live music?
Yeah, just.
Live Ethiopian music, is that?
Ethiopian music, sometimes maybe a little bit of jazz or, that type of music. Like a 2-man band or.
No drums or anything, or are we talking about drums?
No drums. Usually with guitars and.
And it's not, is it amplified?
No, it's not amplified because the space is small, so we don't need to have a big mic,
I'm going to have to look up, Ethiopian music now because I don't think I've ever heard any.
Hey.
I bet you have.
If you were having them play, where would you have them play in the restaurant? Would you take out some tables and chairs?
We're probably going to put them in the front area, or there's next to the bar, there's a table that we can remove that.
Okay.
And
All right, I'm sorry.
like 28 people, is that 28 seats? What's the capacity?
28 seats and 4 bar stools.
So with employees and everything else, you'll be like under 35 people, something like that?
Yeah.
35, 40 people?
Right.
So not very big at all.
You guys all, what's your relation to each other?
We're brothers, sisters.
Oh, good luck with that. I couldn't work with my sibling. I couldn't work with my siblings. I could barely live with them when I did.
So far, we're managing, so we'll
Good.
see.
All right. All right, I'll vote to approve, open till 11, so he doesn't get himself in trouble.
Thank you.
And waive the 1 restroom rule.
What are you doing about the live music? You adding that in now, or,
They don't have it?
no, it wasn't part of the?
Yeah, you can have live music, no DJs.
No promoters, things like that. All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Parisi wanted me to ask if they could have a temporary.
Did they apply for a temporary?
We wouldn't act on it, it's new.
No, it's Manhattan, yeah, no. You can't
Yeah,
get,
wouldn't be able to give
you
them one.
can't get an even though it's an RW? Yeah, you can't, it's because it's Manhattan and it's a new unlicensed place, we're not allowed to give them
The
in
only
Manhattan.
condition is the certificate of occupancy.
Okay,
That's the only condition on the license.
You don't want to give that to us now.
Okay.
I would
right,
fax it up to Albany, or here tomorrow, where?
Yeah, fax it up to Albany. Fax it to me, I don't care.
Because this has already been reviewed several times, so it won't take that long.
It's not going to take that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to give that to me, you can give it to me.
Oh, you can, okay.
I can
all right.
take it, yeah.
Yeah.
Can have it scanned in and be there.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck.
Next item, 935, KB Venture Group LLC.
We had a Rockaway case in here before, and it wasn't you. I was like, how did that happen?
That was
I thought you-
interesting,
I
because
thought you had
I
handcuffs.
met everybody down in the lobby, and
You probably know them all, right?
yes.
You were probably in there in that $40 special.
They actually thought that they could The one guy was a member of the club. They just figured they could just handle it themselves, yeah, so that's what happened. But I saw them all in the lobby. We had a nice
And they
time.
did.
You can't be the attorney when you're the witness. That's
That's what I was going to say. He's probably a member.
I am not a member.
You're Flynn, not a member of the Hibernian Club.
That Hibernian Club, no.
Okay.
So this was a request for reconsideration of the previous penalty. We provided you with information, additional information that you didn't have at the time you made the determination of the penalty. We provided you with a letter from the State Assembly, Felix Ortiz, also the Community Board. We also gave you an email from the NYPD detective who commented on how they cooperated with the NYPD during all their operations. We changed the security company, gave you a copy of the contract.
You don't have that. You gave it to the council's up, but it didn't get submitted to secretaries.
I don't have, what's this number? Is it 935?
935.
I don't have the Ortiz letter either.
No, nothing that Mr. Flynn.
Oh, then I'd like to see the Ortiz letter, yeah.
Nothing that Mr. Flynn submitted was put in the submission.
These are the other letters for licenses, cabaret licenses.
Do we have anything open on this guy, Chris?
We have a number of open cases.
So what, I don't know what you want here.
Well, the one case that was just decided was decided in favor of the licensee. It hasn't come up here yet.
Completely in favor?
Yes,
I
completely
have a
in favor.
notice of pleading 3518. I have a notice of pleading
So, I mean,
618. I have another one of police referrals from 2 days ago. And this case that is before us today, I believe 7 different police officers testified regarding illegal and disruptive activities occurring at the licensed premises, a directed patrol at the licensed premises, numerous assaults, public intoxication, marijuana arrest, disorderly conduct, public urination. Credibly testified the 72nd precinct receives more calls regarding the licensed premises than any other licensed premises within the precinct.
so he's paid $41,000.
I understand.
The last fine was $20,000.
Right.
So if I gave him 30 here,
Right.
where do we go from there? I mean, how much is he willing to fork over to keep this place open? I'm more thinking about, at some point, you got to cut bait.
No, I understand. And whatever penalty if you were to give a penalty today, that's what we would deal with for this. The charges that are out there,
Terry, you don't even want me reading these police referrals.
I don't,
I'm just being honest. This is from 4/5/2018. I mean, these are lewd and indecent. So I'm not even going to read these.
Like what?
That people are passing out in front of the location, laying in their own urine, laying in their own feces, people being removed to the medical center. This is...
I can't. I can't. I mean, I did read the letters. I appreciate the fact that the guy has support from somewhere, but the ALJ found that there's little to no supervision over the conduct of the premises, and my reading of the decision supports that. So I don't know, and I'm really not comfortable taking more money from this guy. It's almost to the point that the money we're taking is worth more than the restaurant or the lounge.
Well, what he's telling me is that he believes that while the reports may say what they say, he believes that those charges have no validity. I came into this after.
No, I see that you weren't the attorney, right?
Yes. So I did review the decision of the ALJ. There was no controversion.
There was not. No, there was, actually.
Was there a controversion? Yeah. I didn't see the controversion, it was not sent to me.
Right, am I wrong there? Katoris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a controversion.
Okay.
I mean, it was basically arguing that the testimony, they paid attention to the wrong testimony, but, I mean, based on the history that we have from 2015 through 16 and 17, and then what's already coming down the pike, even if he got one of those multiple charges sustained, we're going to end up right where we are. I'm going to deny the reconsideration.
I know you just voted, but just let me say this because my client is standing.
Yep.
He's emphatic that he believes that the charges that are discussed pending, which have not been tried yet.
Cited are not even pending, just FYI.
Right, okay, they're not even pending yet.
No, they're referrals.
Right, they're referrals. They don't have any basis. The last set of charges that were brought were dismissed. That hasn't gotten up to you yet, but they were dismissed in total. I was not the attorney on those, Mr. Katsouris was, but they were dismissed. I did see that decision, and I did see that has to come up to the board. That was the decision that was rendered. I saw the ALJ's decision.
I have so many notices of pleading open.
All right.
I just saw another one that I don't know if you've received it yet.
No, and I'm not denying the reconsideration based on what's pending, because as you say, they're not even charges yet. But we do have failure to supervise, we do have focal point for police attention, and he's got a 3-year history here that's impressive. We got more focal points. I mean, I just can't leave this the way it is. There's no way I feel comfortable doing it, and I don't want to continue to take his money either.
Right, and I don't want you to take his money either, because it doesn't suit me that you take his money and then 2 months from now take his license.
Right.
But he is emphatic that he's going to believe that he's going to win those cases. He says there was someone in the police department who he had a problem with, and that's the purpose of these. And it's at cross purposes. The fact that there's a focal point is at cross purposes with. Did you see the detective's email that was in there?
Yes.
It doesn't make sense. It's not jiving. There are two different stories.
Yeah, but there's also a focal point from 2015. How long has he had a problem with the police department? Well, then maybe it's time to end this. I mean, at this point, based on the history here, and there's a lot of stuff, you have multiple unlicensed security guards. Did they make that up? Did your security guards have licenses?
That was prior, before I took over the business by myself.
Well, it doesn't matter. It goes with you.
But we changed.
Well, nothing. It's based on what I'm seeing. Nothing has changed. So I can't leave this open. I'm not gonna. One, I don't have any faith in his operation based on. I didn't hear the testimony, but rarely do you see an ALJ write that there's little to no supervision over a premises, and that's what he wrote here. And I just don't have any faith that this is going to change unless we shut it. And where he also is heading is to if these other cases come down the pike, and any of them get sustained, they're going to be revocations. I mean, and then he's not getting a license. So I'm going to deny that recon.
I'm going to deny as well, because I just don't want to just take your money. I think this is destined to end sooner or later, so it will end now. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You had several charges dismissed. The ones that were sustained were dancing, but the other two, more important to me, a focal point for police attention and failure to supervise, which kind of go hand in hand. So I'm going to vote to deny.
I appreciate it. Just for the record, too, not that a cabaret license is required anymore. It's not that there was a cabaret license. You have a copy of it, just so you realize.
It was expired, right?
Yeah. No. Cabaret license wasn't expired.
No. The dancing wasn't the issue, as he pointed out.
Can I just know when that cancellation is it going to be a normal course in effect?
Yeah, you're
restoring the stated, that's why I'm.
Yeah, it's going to go through the normal course.
Right, so we'll reissue a new cancellation order.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Thank
If you want, we'll reissue the renewal disapproval, because we had sent that out too.
you. You're going to have to,
Yeah,
yes.
well.
Yep. Just take a seat.
The next item is 983, 101, 109 Cafe Inc.
83, that's not me.
Good afternoon, Thomas McCowan with the licensee's
Good afternoon.
principal. Ms. Nolatoff,
So let me go through these first. So it's a ALJ decision. So sustain 1, sustain 2, sustain 3, sustain 4, dismiss 5, sustain 6, sustain 7, sustain 8, sustain 9, 10, 11, 12, withdraw 13, sustain 14, 15, and 16. We fix all this?
we have, again, hopefully you spent some time on my letter of mitigation
I
more than
did,
controversion. And the thrust of this was upon the inspection of the task force and working with Mr. Stravali. It was all about making certain we had the proper security team in place. That was done immediately, and then all the other items here are technical in nature. DBA on a certificate from the prior DBA.
Availing's not.
What's the availing?
The availing is, it's a gentleman's club where obviously the patrons aren't there for fine dining. So there's a full-service kitchen, and the licensee thought it would be best, it was a gentleman named Michael Miller, he said, listen, you got a kitchen here, do you mind if I come in, buy the food, prepare the food, and whatever the food's sold, he would keep that. That was his
So we're
compensation.
gonna stop that.
That's over. He's gone. It's back to what it should be. Employees preparing the food and having it available. It seemed like to a layperson, that seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
I explained the technical nature of it to Ms. Nolatoff. A lot of the other matters, they were cured. A long 2.5-hour inspection, and I'm not denying they weren't there. They were there. And
Okay.
we remedied everything, rectified it all, and everything has been quiet and operational in compliance
You
since.
don't have anything open, right?
Yeah,
You go ahead there, Commissioner Ford, you set this.
Yeah, I agree too. Most of these violations were technical in nature, and no one was in any danger that I really see.
And again, the public assembly permit, some of those were just DBAs on the existing, and they've all been rectified.
I'm going to say 10,000.
Okay. 10,000. Thank you.
Any flexibility on that, or, again, there was no health, safety, welfare,
Okay.
no threats to the public, and a fair amount of money,
I would say there is an availing though, so.
Yeah, but the one thing I will
Kitchen
say, it
availing.
probably is the most technical availing that we've seen.
Right, and it's
It's almost
hon-
a non-bona
It's
fide.
honestly there, but again, Commissioner Ford, if you could just make note, because there was a fair amount of electrical, plumbing, fire companies, so there's money's expended in correcting this forthwith.
I'll give you 8,000.
I really appreciate that.
8,000.
And so does Ms. Nolatoff. Thank you very much. Just take a seat. I'll be right back.
Next item is 966, 148 South Emerson Associates, LLC.
Conditional no contest plea. I represent really the new company that's coming in. Single violation, noise violation, the side door was open. I know this licensee has had.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like these guys.
Well, I've never met them. I have only met the new.
I haven't met them,
manager.
I have not met them either. I just know that this place does not get it. And
In this instance, if I may speak. Chairman,
so you're telling me that somebody's taking this place over, so they're gone?
No, it's a new management team. So I knew the management team from another establishment. He operated, I guess that would be in 16 and 17, where they've been in compliance and working with Mr. Amarato. He said, listen, I've seen the great strides they've made. It's a side door that was open really the first weekend of the season. It was a one-and-done, noise emanated, the door was closed, and it was just that quick. So it wasn't a sustained pattern. It was the only violation, I think, of last season.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll accept it.
Thank you very much.
This is out the really eastern end of Long Island.
Yeah.
Montauk, can't go any further. Next stop, Sport.
And it's not really an ideal spot to put this place, let's put it that way. What they want to do.
I'll accept.
Next item, 965, Mi Encanto Restaurant, Inc.
Conditional no contest plea, again, we see this probably twice a month. The significance of a security guard team in place, licensee really didn't have it. They've since retained a company, and some of the
The
others.
books are on site now?
I explained
I'll
that in
accept.
detail.
I accept as well.
Thank you.
982, Guy DeMarco, Inc.
And Mr. McCallum, if I remember correctly, this is one you and I have talked about where you've surrendered the license, and I think the goal here is just to cancel so that there's no money, right?
Exactly. This is going to tug on your heartstrings a little bit here, looking for a little compassion. I know the licensee and his business has struggled for years. I forwarded the past 2 years' tax returns. I don't know if you had an opportunity.
Yeah,
to
no,
look
we
at them.
have 'em.
And he's hanging on. Mr. DeMarco was unable to make it. here. He's coming back from
Wait,
spinal
what do you mean
surgery.
he's hanging on? So he didn't surrender the
No, he
license?
did. He was hanging on for a number of
Oh,
years,
okay.
as you know, documented with the tax returns. He said this was probably the best thing that ever happened to him. He was just hanging on, trying to make the business work. It was a losing enterprise, and we
So what,
discussed.
what are you looking for?
I'm just simply looking for a cancellation for the record.
I mean, even if I find him,
Well,
if I didn't pay it, you're getting a cancellation anyway.
but then he'd be.
Or would it be a revoke?
Well, really, it's more the monetary issue because then.
No, I get that, but if he surrendered the license and I fine him, I don't really have any jurisdiction over him anyway, so.
But it's the bond claim that he's then going to have to wrestle with. So he's teetering on personal bankruptcy, and now he'll be sued by the bond company. I did offer.
Oh, so he just wants cancel no bond?
He wants cancel no bond. He's done. And again, spending some time with him, he can't pay. He couldn't pay the bond claim or any portion thereof. I did offer $2,500 and a cancellation for the record, which was rejected. That's why I've come up here with a simple no contest plea. And like I stated, he's not coming back into the business. He can't come back into the business, and he's living on his wife's salary, and it's over.
All right, I'll do cancel no bond, but name stop.
That'd be fine. That would be. I don't think you'll see Mr. DeMarco back again.
So basically canceling for the record.
Can't just cancel no bond, right?
Thank you very much for your time and courtesies.
See you.
Next item is 901, and there's a related item 903, White Diamond Restaurant Corp.
Good afternoon. There are two separate offers of compromise to resolve both cases. I don't know which one you want to take first.
901, I'll accept. Ford.
Yep,
And 903, I'll accept.
yep, same here.
Thank you.
Next item is 908, Fowler Hospitality LLC.
This is also an offer of compromise to resolve the charge.
I'll accept.
Manager punched a guy. All right, 1,500, I'll accept.
Next item is 1001, Harama Entertainment Corp.
Again, this is an offer of compromise to resolve the charge.
I'll accept.
I thought this should be higher, but I'll accept as well.
990, Angel of Harlem LLC.
You too, sir.
This is also an offer of compromise.
I'll accept. Just an amorous customer.
Yeah, I don't know how that's the fault and negligence of the owner. Guy followed a woman into the restroom.
I mean, basically, we put up the very low offer as nuisance value. Quite honestly, it'd be more to go through the whole hearing and everything else, and my client was just like, give him the money.
Yeah, I would dismiss this. I just don't see it.
It's a disorderly premises. The failure to supervise for the guy going to the ladies' room. Yes, come
Thank
on.
God Tom wasn't the judge on this case, wasn't tried yet, but,
All right, well, I'm gonna, in the interest of cooperation, I'm gonna accept the offer, given that it is pretty low.
500 it is.
Judge Tom.
Next item is 997, 912 W Beach Street Pub, Inc.
this is an offer of compromise to resolve the charges.
I'll accept.
I'll accept.
Next item is 913 and 952, it's combined item.
Yeah.
JDRC Grill Ltd.
I got it. What's going on here, Mr. Flynn?
With regard to what?
Just they keep doing up maximum occupancy, Like they were
Yeah, he's got,
6 months apart or 5 months apart, like they're not getting the picture here?
no, they are getting the picture. They're having a problem. They're right on they're not overly, they haven't gone over the occupancy by a great many. I think one was very close.
Well, I don't know if the cops are right or not, but they're saying 150 and it's supposed to be 62.
Yeah, he's saying no. There is an application in right now to increase the occupancy. The town of Hempstead is just a bit slow in issuing these things. He's been told he can't get another one, and he has the application in to correct it.
All right, I'll accept. We have nothing pending, right? All right, I'll accept.
I'll accept as well.
993, 230 Broadway Restaurant Corp.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too. We woke up Mr. Palillo.
How's your wife?
She's well, thank you.
Was
Good
she
afternoon.
sick?
Cataract surgery.
Oh.
I'm afraid she may see things more clearly now, though.
Yeah, let's hope not for your sake.
It's clearly what I'm hoping for.
What is this, 993? I'll accept, but we're coming back up there shortly to check. So I'm assuming this stuff is fixed?
Yes, but I will be filing a change in the method of operation.
Make sure that comes here then. What are you changing?
Security guards.
DJs.
No, we have DJs, actually.
Okay.
We're allowed to have DJs. Security guards, I think, is the only thing.
Is that, if that's always changing, then it doesn't need to come here now.
But I don't want to hold.
That, Commissioner?
Yes.
Yeah, 5,000.
I think it was just security guards.
Next item, 998, Beta Clinton Corp.
It's an open compromise.
I'll accept.
998?
Yes.
It's too high, but the offer is the offer.
What was it? I don't know. It's in there.
It's disorderly premises, 2,500.
The only reason I made the offer, to be honest, there's two pending applications. I'll be filing next week for these people, so I had to resolve it.
2,500, yeah. Wonder what I did with that.
Next item is 941, Kinfolk General, Inc.
I'll accept. How did this method of operation get changed without coming here? Do they not come here unless we ask?
I will find out.
I have to admit, I get confused between this one and Kinfolk Studios. They're two places side by side.
I think the application was filed before the charges went out. I think I was wondering the same thing myself.
Okay.
I think licensing had no knowledge of the charges.
Okay.
That's in fact, then we don't have any opposition to it, so
Right.
there would be no reason.
That's the only thing I had signed in?
Pardon me?
You had three cases.
I know, I was waiting for
You didn't
Commissioner
vote.
Ford.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He gets to vote too, Tom.
I thought he...
Not only you over there.
Just so you know, on this, you just filed the renewal application,
10,000.
Mr. Fallo?
Yes, we are, it's about 5 or 6 days late. Yep. We went out yesterday.
6 days late?
It went out yesterday, I believe. The community board wasn't notified properly. We held it.
3/31 as an expiration date.
We still haven't voted.
Yes, 10,000.
Thank you.
The renewal is subject to a late fine.
I'm sure of it.
Okay.
Sure of it.
Also, we'll have to settle
I'll
that
miss that
before-
opportunity. Thank you.
Take care.
I have nothing else signed in. So we're 892?
Sustained charge 1, 3,500.
3,500.
894.
Accept.
Accept.
895.
Accept.
Accept.
896.
Sustain 1, dismiss 2, sustain 3 and 4, dismiss 5, sustain 6, dismiss 7, 9,000.
896, 9,000.
897.
I'm going to treat them both as one sale, but 4,000 because of the bad history. This guy's not starting out well. So 4,000.
4,000. I had 6,000. Why are you cutting them some slack here?
Because they sent two people in at the same time, and I don't see that as really being too.
All right, okay, 4,000.
They sent them in a couple days apart and arrested somebody, I might agree.
But it would have been 6,000 if it was just one.
No, there's not another sale.
No, there's a prior, it doesn't matter what the prior is.
Oh, all right, 6,000 then. You're right. When you're right, you're right.
It happens once in a while.
Doesn't happen too often, so.
Not too often,
No.
so. It shocks her.
898, 899, and 900.
Accept,
3,000 accept.
902,
accept,
Letter of warning accept.
904,
accept,
5,000 accept.
905, I got an email today from the attorney. Mr. Cesare is away. The attorney was supposed to cover was in Florida yesterday and could not get up here back in time because of the weather. So he wants it held over to the 30th.
5:30.
All right. 906 and 907.
This is an old one, right, Chris? This may have been one that I didn't see it identified as an old one, or was it not?
I do not see it identified that way.
But would you have considered this old or no?
I would consider that.
All right, I'll accept.
I'll accept 7,500.
909.
I had questions on. So historically, do we ignore the two prior sales if they were part of the previous fine?
You don't have to.
So like the sale of the minor last time, they got 9,000.
As a matter of practice, we only list of going back 5 years. I made that note in there to explain why it was 9,000. You're not prohibited from considering things
All right, so
beyond
I'm
5
going
years.
10, I'm going 10,000, then that's probably going to be the last one.
10,000.
910.
Cancel for the record.
Yes. Is it registered yet? Do we have a new bond yet or no?
There's no bond, no. So just cancel.
Yeah, cancel.
911.
Same thing, cancel for the record.
Yes.
912.
Cancel for the record. Right?
Yep.
914.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond, yep.
915.
Accept.
15.
915. Accept, yeah, 6,000.
916.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
917.
I had 9,000, it's third time.
Yeah, I have counter at 9,000.
918.
500.
500.
919.
Cancel for the record.
Yes.
920.
Cancel for the record as well.
Yes.
921.
Yeah, this even for early settlement is a little low, I thought. But I'll take it, but just send that message to Ms. Walls.
2,000.
What happened?
Commissioner, you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. 922.
Cancel for the record.
Yes.
923.
Cancel for the record. Are these places still open?
Probably.
Yeah, they just blew off the
So
letters.
these are all going to be recons.
Yep.
Okay.
924.
$1,000 because we got the funds, right?
It says 500
924.
Oh, I'm sorry, 24.
924 is we took half the bond, so there's still half the bond left.
Yeah, but still cancel for the record.
How about canceling $500?
All right, take the 500 and cancel.
Cancel on 500.
I would bond that is. 925.
So do we did receive replacement funds?
Yes, and this one we did.
Letter warning.
No, it's a fine. Isn't it $1,000 for this amount?
Or is it
How much?
500?
500. All right, 500. Can't bounce checks.
926.
I'll accept.
2,000 accept.
927.
Accept.
Accept.
928.
Miss Walls again. I'll accept, but I thought it was low, but she's gone, so. Isn't that why she was just trying to get rid of cases? Well, I don't care.
4,500.
It saved everybody else from going through.
929.
Accept.
2,000 accept.
930.
I'll accept cancel and bond, but name stop and location stop.
Yep.
931.
Accept.
5,500 accept.
936.
It's all 2 years old, nothing since then, Counselor, with this one?
I would refer to the memo.
Yeah, I'll accept.
10,000 accept.
937.
3,000.
3,000.
938.
Cancel and, sustain 1, 2, 3, and 4, cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
939.
I'm going to counter at 12,000. I thought this was really low. Unless you think that there was something wrong with it? No.
Counter at 12.
940 has been held over to the 30th. 942.
940's coming on the 30th?
940 was held over to the 30th, yes.
Because this is an interesting case. The employee was the alleged prostitute. I wonder how they're going to explain that one. Okay.
942.
I'll accept.
Cancel and bond.
943.
Accept.
9,000 accept.
944.
Accept.
1,000 accept.
945.
Accept.
Cancel and bond.
946.
Accept.
$946. Oh, okay, yeah, accept, I'm sorry.
I'll let you know.
951.
Accept.
2,500 accept.
What number are you?
What's the name?
We're going to be done in a heartbeat, so.
What's the name? Hold on. That's 906. We went past that already. You want to,
Yeah, you can recall it. What did we do?
7,500.
7,500? We had just done an offer like a month ago.
906, 907, you accepted the offer of 7,500.
Yeah. That's the offer, 75? Okay, we
Yeah.
put it together. Okay, good. And
So you're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next one?
Green Light Deli?
That is 914, we already did that one.
Cancellation, so that shouldn't be a problem.
That was, yeah, we accepted the offer, cancel and bond claim.
Okay.
And the Hills,
The Hills,
there's 3 of them. This has got to be
yeah, I
the
don't
full.
think, we didn't get there yet.
Okay. So we're gonna wait.
So, well, that is 975, 76.
Well, we can do it now, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's what I'm saying, we'll pull it out now.
75 and 76?
It's 975, no, 970, 75, 975 and 976. So there's three matters, three separate matters.
Trifecta.
And they're all defaults.
So there's, I'm sure there must have been an offer in January and a payment, and then I think there was a default in like March.
There hasn't been a payment yet.
We had a default in March, or delivery, I'm sorry, in March.
I'm saying.
We had another one delivered
There were
again
other
in
cases,
March.
Right, there's $4,000 that's due by the 25th, and then there's these three defaults.
And these three defaults, they were all delivered to an individual at the premises.
I don't understand what's going on there. I spoke to her last time. I think I appeared on a default and you gave that $4,000 fine.
Yes.
So now we have three. I don't have any of these. She's saying she doesn't know what it is.
Well, who are they delivering these to? 2:52 PM, so somebody's there. 3:14 PM on a different date,
Can we at least put it over?
and 2:52 PM on the same date. Yeah, I'll put it over. I mean, but somebody got delivered the stuff, so at that point, it's not really,
All three of these are putting over?
yeah, 5:30.
5:30.
Okay, 5:30.
You have anything else?
Garden Gourmet, standing here. That should be an offer.
All right. That is 916, we already did that one?
Cancel and bond for that one.
Yep.
Was that an offer?
That
It was
an
a
offer.
default.
Was it default?
Garden Gourmet was a default for sale to minors. There was a defaulted hearing. There was a CNC of $10,000 and 10-day suspension. The members made a counteroffer of cancel and bond claim. It went to hearing, there was a defaulted hearing, the members just imposed cancel and bond claim.
All right. I think the issue on the offer was, there was something about a scanner.
Yes.
It's pretty old, the offer, and I know they brought me a receipt for the scanner and everything, and I think I was told the authorities aren't interested in that anymore. Something to that effect, that they don't want to deal with.
No, the fact that the scanner didn't work is not going to really help them.
No,
No, I think, I
No, it was-
think what he's saying is that by the time they had the scanner, they went to counsel's office and were told that the offer wasn't on the table anymore.
Right.
Okay. And that would have been low on my part anyway. It was 4 sales, I remember the case. 4 different dates.
Right. Would you do a higher fine
No,
than the 10?
no. I mean, do you have that?
It gives them the option of choose cancellation anyway at that point. Are they
What are they- I mean, what are they
first
want-
violations, I think?
Yeah, I mean, I
3,000 each? I mean, that's why we offered 10.
I'll take 15 and a new scanner.
They have the scanner.
Is it a good scanner? Meaning
Or
that
is the
there's
scanners
two
after the violation?
there's 2 companies that their scanners are almost foolproof. I don't know their names, and I can't recommend one over the other, but they are foolproof, and that's the scanner. If you tell me they had one of them, I'll give you 15,000. Chris can tell you what they are off the
Or
record.
the enforcement, or the enforcement bureau can.
Yeah, I don't have the information with me.
Well, if you tell me if they don't have that, they're gonna get one, I'll give you 15.
Okay.
That's 914?
Right, 914, so we're
No, it's
modifying, 916, I'm sorry. So we're modifying the penalty you imposed to 15,000 and the scanner.
Yeah, but one of the scanners
Right.
that's computer-based. And they're not cheap. You know, they're like 3,500.
Okay. I usually saw they were around 1,000.
Well, I mean, the new ones are, but these things are updated. It's basically, I've seen testing of it, and they're ridiculous. You can't get a fake ID through there.
Okay. And then I have one more.
So you're accepting that, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you're just imposing it anyway, right?
It's a
Because
default.
it was a
Oh,
default.
right, yes, okay, right.
Was that it?
Yes.
Oh, Gateway?
Oh.
Gateway Beer Garden? That's the last one.
Hold on.
978.
We haven't gotten there yet.
It's a default.
Yep, 978.
So I have my fax confirmation the day before the pleading.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked it up, I had it in my file, but I had the,
You can, I believe you can give it to him, to Chris. All right, I'll send this back to council's office then.
thank you. The last one.
Tough one.
Employee was just in the back hanging out.
It appears there had to be some type of, yeah.
So where's that going?
Get here
Back to
earlier
council?
next time.
Where's that
You
going?
finished up early today.
Yeah, no, you're not late.
Is it
We're
going
early.
Back to council, did you say?
Yes.
You want to keep going, or?
Yeah.
All right, 953.
Did we do 902 and 904 already? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. 953, I'll accept.
2,500 accept.
954.
Letter of warning.
Letter of warning, yep.
962.
Accept.
Accept.
963.
Accept.
964.
Cancel and bond. Oh, sustain, is that a default or?
It's a default.
Okay. Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
967.
I'm gonna counter this at 9,000 because, oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, 9,000 because the person was arrested after each sale, so it should be 3,000 for the first one, 6,000 for the second.
I would just note the memo.
I did not see the memo. I did see it. What am I noting? I'll accept. I did not see that part. Do we know why? Why are they Port Authority? Why is Port Authority doing this stuff?
Oh, that I could not answer.
You all set?
Yes, 6,000 accept.
968.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I'll accept,
Be 9,000.
yes, but I'm not gonna send it back for 1,000.
Should we go with the 8?
Yeah,
Okay.
8,000.
969.
I'm gonna cancel and bond, counter with cancel and bond. It's the fifth sale in 2 years.
Detecting a pattern here, yeah. Cancel and bond.
I think you have a full-blown pattern.
971.
Cancel and bond,
Cancel and bond.
972.
3,000.
3,000.
973.
Cancel and bond,
Cancel and bond.
974.
accept.
Accept.
977.
I'm canceling this, counter with cancel and bond. Their license was suspended on 1/31, and then they did it again 2 weeks later.
Yep.
988.
Cancel for the record.
Cancel for the record, yep.
989.
3,000. He said it.
You did, all right. Was it-
Yes.
991.
I had 10,000.
Okay, 10,000, everything needs to be fixed. Can we put that in the letter?
Yeah.
Let's go to 8,000 because the guy's history.
8,000 and
Yeah.
everything fixed?
Are you good with 8,000?
Yeah.
Because he's been around for a while.
992.
Accept.
Accept.
994.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
995.
Accept.
5,000 accept.
996.
Cancel and bond.
How about just cancel?
Cancel.
Cancel.
Yep. 999.
Accept.
2,500 accept.
1,000.
3,500.
1,000.
1,000.
cigarette.
3,500, yeah.
1,002.
Cancel for the record. Oh, we have bond left, right?
But cancel on bond claim, right?
Yeah, cancel and bond.
1,003 is being held over to the 30th.
Who's the lawyer on this? Do we know? It doesn't matter if you don't know, don't look it up.
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but
It doesn't matter.
that's all I have signed in. I have nothing else. Chairman, you have anything else?
No.
All right, then we are adjourned.